dating.
I've hit record.
Matt, I would like to point out we will have to talk about Faded Magenta's special project Brute Drone Mass.
Yeah.
Since we've got to cover that, and it's untimely death.
I gotta get to that particular because it's in the archive now, right?
Yeah.
The whole thing, good because I really like that story a lot, actually.
Oh my god,
that was a super fun story, Chain.
I know we're recording and we're going to leave all this part in, but can I do the intro? I've got a great idea.
Okay, you may do the intro.
Welcome to the BonkTable Motherfucking Podcast. I'm your host, Cassandra. I'm here with my best friend, Mass. We've got Steve. We've got Skillen. We've got Kang, the Lord Daddy. And we're finding out how the hot dog gets made.
My head.
Drop it.
This is perfect. But it still hit every desk on the way down.
But I hit all the major points.
You did great.
Yeah,
but
that was good.
That's fucking good. Spires hot dog returns.
Yeah.
We are joined by Lore Uncle Steve. That is his title. And Lord Daddy Kang is back. Please say hi.
Go ahead, Steve. Steve?
I said hello. What do you want from me?
It didn't pick up.
Right next to my microphone.
I would like a sequence of international hellos, actually.
Bonjour. Buongiorno.
How do you say hello in French?
So you trail off right there with no explanation, and you've hit 3, so it seems like you know your stuff.
Oh, I can't even remember it now. Omelette du fromage or whatever.
It's bonjour.
Oh, that's
French. Yeah, or
hello. I'm fairly limited.
We had this thing called Télé Français when I was growing up, and it's basically this pineapple teaches you French, and his name is Ananas. And the intro of it is Télé Français, bonjour, hello, salut. So that's how I know all the 3 ways to say hi in French. There aren't any other.
Oh.
I'm glad.
You said it was a pineapple named Ananas?
Yeah.
Because that's how almost every European country says pineapple.
Yeah, he looks fucked.
In a good way?
No.
Oh, no.
No, coming as somebody who is totally capable of developing a sexual attraction to a puppet, no.
This thing is terrifying.
Watch the intro. It's on there.
Oh lord!
Stream it, Mass. Stream it.
Holy shit!
Someone say something pertinent.
Hold on. I'm trying to get it. I'm in
the
Facebook.
BonkTable Podcast.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
Okay, hold on. I don't know. It looks like something the Spires would make to fuck you up.
Yeah, no, really.
Imagine if that little guy walked up and fixed you a drink when you were talking to somebody from the directorate.
That drink's got a roofie in it.
The drink always had a roofie in it. They squeezed the roofie out of an udder that was built into the building that you're in.
What the fuck?
Oh my god.
Gaze upon it.
Oh, it's a puppet too?
C'est formidable. C'est merveilleux.
I don't know if you guys are getting audio.
Of course it's a fucking puppet. What did you think it was?
Oh, there we go.
There we
go. There's the audio.
Too. I have a gif of him doing some dance moves too. If anybody's interested in that.
No, I don't think anyone wants to see this thing trying to ambulate.
I've turned on the audio for the listeners for this fucking thing. Because usually
Mass, we don't have any listeners at this point. They've all left.
kind of. Okay, hold on. roll it back. It's specious to say that you don't want to watch the pineapple dance.
Okay, pineapples aren't a species.
Okay, I don't know how. What is
Well,
this?
okay,
Telefrance?
animate anthropomorphic pineapples are.
Actually,
This is amazing.
There was
This is
a
like a whole level of Canadiana trauma fucking television show that like this is like another layer to the
Oh,
fucking dimension.
okay.
Alberta crew is gonna go crazy for this one.
Shut the fuck up and go. Here's the theme. All right, now that everyone's been subjected to that fucking terrifyingness.
No. Keep the '80s Japanese city pop late night jazz and vibes playlist on.
I would like to point out for anyone that's still listening, God help you.
I am.
Anyone that's still listening for some reason, I was not privy to anything that Matt was playing. I guess that's just a special secret between him and you. And I just sat through about 30 seconds of uncomfortable silence.
So you had to go into the stream. I was like, oh.
Oh
Okay,
no, Steve, don't worry.
Yeah, and then
Don't worry, Steve. I will subject you to this.
And then I hear Cass just start to sing along to like nothing, and I'm like, boy, this just gets more and more whatever this is.
Only my beautiful, angelic, feminine voice without any accompaniment? What a treat.
This is real Spires diabolicalness. The fucking photo of that fucking thing.
Alright, let's stick our fist straight to the hot dog. Let's get busy.
Okay, I'm gonna turn off the 80s Japanese city pop night jazz and vibes playlist because I need to listen.
What? Okay, there's some like internet cartoon thing where it's like, eat me. It's like a cupcake or something, and he's like, please, for the love of God. This thing, I could imagine he's just like, you must split me open and feast upon my insides.
oh dear.
There we go. I posted it in music. If anyone wants to listen for that thing.
This is my purpose.
My
I must be thrilled.
My coworker
The
listens to
busybodies?
this podcast and he's like, dude, what is this? And then I'll send him the photo and he's like, that is horrifying.
I sent this podcast to my friend who doesn't play war games, and he told me it was a little too inside baseball for him.
In memes, it's soulless eyes. Oh my god! Why do people listen to this?
So who are all you people?
The people who have to listen to and then timestamp when we actually start doing the podcast, they're in shambles over this one.
Oh my god.
So who are you, strange people, and why am I here?
Oh god.
Kang, why did you change your portfolio pick to the soulless monster?
The secret to podcast magic, it turns out, is for me to chug a vodka sparkling water really fast to try and impress a girl.
Oh no, its mouth is open now.
It demands
Surely.
that you consume it.
This is truly a Spires creation.
Well, on that subject, we have a flawless transition to the actual subject at hand of the Spires. Who actually knows anything about them?
Oh, I know that everything is their fault.
This is true.
They are the main
I do-
protagonists.
I do love that there is a single point of contact for people who just came in. Like, for me, I don't play Spires. They're a little too gross, yucky, etc. I don't play them, but I really respect somebody who just shows up uninvited and ruins everything. I feel a deep sense of kinship with that.
I mean, that is essentially them. They show up and they ruin everything all the time.
See, this is why we just, like you're saying at first, you weren't sure about me, and then you, like, understood, and then it's like, now we get along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that the last episode, we ended at the very end of the Age of Worship. We started with, we like, right after the fall was starting, or something like that.
Hold on.
No, we ended up at
the
the end of the fall. We went to the fall. And
Did
then
you cover part of the fall where, in the confusion, the Dwegum were basically like, well, now that the guys that stole our oven and, magic charcoal have gotten their comeuppance, now might be a good time to just sock it to those, rat bastards, the Spires, and they did.
We did a very broad overview of the fall. We started at the beginning, with the Yggdrasil, where it started, and then the end. We didn't really talk about the inside.
So in as many words, no, you did not. Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question too, but I don't know where to fit it into the overall discussion about the lore. So, okay, you mentioned that this, during, when they were figuring out Hasley and stuff, sorry, I'm not making sense, but we're going to get through it.
You got it.
Were the Spires just coming out and fucking people up? Did they have a strong impetus to go fuck up the Spires in turn, or was it just more oh, here's that big, disgusting meat tree in the sky? I don't really know what its deal is. Let's stay away from it because I think it's giving me radiation. I don't know what that is, but I think I have it. Sorry, I'm imagining myself as 100 Kingdoms peasant.
Yeah,
who also
that's
talks like
us.
Cassandra. who also drinks horse piss and is Cassandra.
Jesus.
As a 100k peasant, you're more that looks like the castle of some dark fey god. I don't want to go around there. Monsters prowl that place.
No, I'm 100 Kingdoms guy, but I'm kind of smart and cool, and I'm also trash. So it's it's a little bit different than a normal 100 Kingdoms guy.
I think in some of the...
And I'm hot too. I'm really hot.
In some of the correspondence between some of the 100 Kingdoms people, either in reference to Frederick or someone else, in the Nepenthe story, I think someone said something to the effect of yes, the tower full of demons, as the peasants know it, has gone silent. We, from what we've been able to discern, the alchemist is, of a relatively high station, but actually not particularly high. He is would be referred to as one of the lineages by the Old Dominion texts. So
yeah,
he's a member of the Mild High Club.
Does a rich guy in the Spires, a guy with some a little bit of money and some force-grown drones, a couple hundred force-grown drones up in the tank, does he ever just I'm gonna go out and fuck up some farms? I'm gonna go march on some farms and fuck them up. And if I see a castle, we're knocking that bitch down.
So usually it's much more as Spires would be want to.
I think Skinwalker Ranch.
Very, they prefer to go more the Machiavellian scheming route.
Does Spires take you to Ram Ranch?
Okay, hold on real quick before. Nope. We're not talking about Ram Ranch. All right. What Steve is getting at is Spires don't like doing things themselves. They manipulate everyone else outside of the Spires. So
then why do they have a bunch of gross guys wearing toilet paper?
To do everything for them that they don't want to do, like I just
they
said.
I guess my inquiry has evolved to what's the scenario where they get the guys, wrap them up in antiseptic toilet paper and send them out.
So
push them out the hot dog into action.
If a particular group gets too openly hostile and or starts poking around in their territory or impeding whatever plots or ploys they have in motion, they might then kind of amass a force to go deal with that. Yep. Or let's say that the merchant princes, who are a little more basically they're kind of the younger among the lineages. They want
go
to
outside,
kind of be outside the thumb of the the older lineages and kind of amass their own power through their own means. And a lot of this, they found out that humans in particular have a love of shiny baubles and stupid love potions and all this nonsense, and they are shit, yeah, we can do that. So they kind of establish trade routes, and if they get screwed with, they might be like, hey Dad, these people are being jerks, can you go fuck them up with your horrible nightmare army?
Yeah. One thing I do love about the Spires is the as a faction and sort of within the framework of the plot, and also as a critique of something, is that within the Spires, they just want the minimum viable product. They just want a guy with no immune system who can barely hold a spear and wears antiseptic tissue paper to not die immediately. And that guy just runs up and he dies immediately. for the sake of whatever they're trying to do. And I like that the Spires, like the people who actually design stuff in the Spires, are like, oh, well, we like selling stuff to humans because they actually care if stuff is made good. It's just like it's a little bit of texture in the plot, but I like in the lore, that is to say. But I think it does so much work.
You would probably like the Faded Magenta storyline because one of the things that it opens relatively early with is he discovers there are defective drones under his watch. Defective in that they cry when he tells them that they have to clean up the fungal colonies they've been growing in the corner, or they're attempting to vocalize, or like giving themselves like armor markings or stuff. And he's like, "That's worried. They're supposed to have the life of like a mosquito or something." That's bad.
Real quick.
Yep.
We did start this off, but we kind of have to go back and set it. Who are we talking about? We're talking about the Spires, right?
Yeah.
What is the Spires? What is the Spires?
How is the hot dog made?
And I'm going to give this to Steve, because Steve knows a lot about like the broad strokes of the Spires. He can put it in good words, right?
You better be drinking while he's talking.
Yeah, stroke the hot dog for us, Steve.
Well, anyway, I finished my drink.
Get another one. It's not over.
So it was like 4 fingers of alcohol. It's like a fist.
Yeah, the Spires don't quit after the first fist and get in there.
Well, then I gotta go away from the mic. Anyway,
Fist me with no context, and it's just alcohol, but
no,
it's gonna be awkward.
Anyway, moving on. So Spires, very, very broadly. So as those of you that tuned into the first lore episode may have remembered, there were these weird things called the Exiles that were originally kind of an off-world species using the ways. They kind of came from their home planet, sort of attempted to establish little research colonies on Ea. Did their thing for quite a while, up until one day a massive chunk of the population just starts pouring through going, holy fucking shit, you guys aren't going to believe this. You need to get us like a functioning civilization like right quick, because like the whole population's right behind us. We gotta leave the home planet like yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Up until the Sovereign and his family come through, at which point he's like,
good.
Well, I got through, that's all that matters. Collapse of ways. Most of the population is trapped with whatever problem is going on back home, and he's like, cool, well, very tragic, most of the population was lost against this terrible enemy, I guess I'm in charge now.
Yep.
Hold on.
And then we went over the Dragon War, we went over all that, how Exile Society split into 3 groups.
Yep, that was the next thing, is wanted to go to war with the dragons. He told that to the military. The military said, well, we're the ones with the weapons, so get bent. They left. I believe that was referred to as the betrayal, or it was either that was the betrayal or it was the Weavers that were the betrayal. I can't remember, but
I believe the Weavers was the betrayal, because this was just out of the blue, and it was the populace that did this.
And then in the absence of having a standing military, they decided to repurpose life binding into biomancy to basically create clone armies. This pissed off the Voice, who was the head of the religious caste. She went and complained to the dragons about what a horrible, defilement of their most sacred rites are, and the dragons are kind of like, okay, but so they can create new forms of life with this thing. Fascinating. How about tell you what, this sounds very taxing and this sounds like a very rough time for you. How about you guys just take this land that we're going to grant you out west? You can live there. You can kind of simmer down. We're going to have a little chat with the Sovereign guy for a minute. And basically at that point, with that second division, all that was really left to form the Spires were basically a bunch of scientists, nobles, and bureaucrats. And I think the way Stavro has described them is they are basically the East India Trading Company by way of H.R. Giger.
Yep. It's a very apt description, with all the body horror and everything that happens.
And in their minds, most other life they've been on the planet for eons and eons and eons, and basically most other life to them, it's like if we were getting, they don't care about like the cost of human life or anything, because to them it's like, okay, like the some of them to an extent, but like realistically it's kind of like, I don't know, I always kind of viewed it as kind of like, oh, it's really sad that earthworm is writhing on the hot pavement.
Yeah.
I guess I can move it to shade, but for the most part, you might be like, "Oh, it's a fucking earthworm." Like they don't care. Their goal is, there's plenty of them. There's no shortage. They're very screamy. They cause trouble, and also like we're really focused on just amassing power so that we can try to eventually retake the homeworld. Like we live a long time. Our plans are measured in centuries, if not thousands of years. We've got time to figure this shit out.
Yeah, and speaking of how Stavros sort of described the Spires, he even has said that this is their planet because they've been here the longest, barring the dragons. This is
in one way or another, almost everything that's come to exist has been a knock-on effect of their random fuck-ups.
So quite literally, everything is their fault. No matter what it is. Because they are here, it is their fault. Keep that in mind every time you read a passage in the lore. It's the Spire's fault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The burden of what is it? The horrible burden of like massive success or whatever.
Yeah, something like that.
Success is a strong word for it. I posted in the BonkTable chat for a few select people while we're recording this. The Spires, a play in 2 acts, and it's just that picture from
Gundam.
Gundam, yeah, where it's just I'm a genius, and the next thing, oh no.
Yeah, it's essentially them. Like it is quintessential.
Oh, what I was thinking of is the movie called "The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent."
Such a good movie, though.
Basically, the Spire's mindset in as few words as possible.
But also, like as I'm flipping through my old lore book, I see they're consistently referred to as immortal. So I'm assuming that we have never seen a Spire exile of any form die of old age. So they may actually just be immortal creatures. And
they're basically lobsters when you don't eat them.
Basically, yeah. They even have the shell, and they can change it as they wish.
Okay. So where do we want to go from here?
Well, from this point, you guys should probably ask questions because we've given the basis, and then from this point is a platform for us to jump off of.
Okay.
So, I want to understand. Sorry, I don't mean to just jump in.
No,
but
you
I do
jump.
mean to. So, like, I'm just trying to understand a lot of, like, sort of the cultural and the day-to-day of a lot of these factions. What's the level in the Spires where you are like a guy or a lady, as the case may be, who goes in and you sit in front of a drafting table and you draw hot dog monsters all day, and then eventually some of those get made, and then you go home and you read a book or you watch TV or you make something to eat, and then you go to bed and you have like a pretty normal life in the Spire. Where is that happening?
I actually know this one.
Yeah,
I can give it a shot.
Yeah.
So, Spire society in general is, I would say, like think of it very much like the Soviet education system, where it's like extremely focused and extremely brutal and hyper competitive. So generally speaking, it's almost exactly a mirror of the Soviet education system, actually. So like you're trying to become, if you're not a noble, in which case you kind of are going to go into aristocracy and you're going to do politicking and you're basically doing power plays and trying to, not get stabbed in the back while stabbing everyone else in the back. Then you're trying to get into the scientist class, and you're trying to basically become a biomancer, which is kind of the top levels of their of the directorate, more or less. And if you fail at that, you end up as like a pheromancer. And if you fail at being a pheromancer, then basically you get conscripted into the military. And then if you suck at the military, you basically become a bound clone.
It's crazy that if you can't fart good, you have to join the army.
I mean,
So
they're basically genetic engineers, so...
So I thought that correct me if I'm wrong, someone, but I thought that the bound clones were specifically not from the lineages, but they were actual like clones that were like from the clone troops.
Are there any just normal guys there? Or any just like
the lineages?
All the normal guys are
the
clones.
closest. Yeah,
So
they're probably the closest.
So okay,
everyone is a clone.
how big is the clone pool then?
Well, so I thought that there were.
Like how many source clones?
So
Okay.
So here's what's interesting. In one of the unit descriptions, they talk about how at a certain period of time, the sovereign lineage like winnowed it down to like too few strains of clones, and what happened was it started to cause essentially like genetic defects, and I think like they were susceptible to like different strains of like sickness and stuff.
No, he inbred his clones.
Yeah, and after a while, it was like, oh, as a result, they maintain a certain stock of like unique lineages to prevent that from happening again. So that's a problem they literally ran into.
I need to
So
make
we
a
can
meme
actually-
right now.
So before we do that, we can actually look directly at the lore blurb for the bound clones. It specifically talks about them lacking mental prowess and not being from a lineage.
Yeah, like I think the biomancers and pheromancers are derived from a lineage and then kind of ranked based on their aptitude for both research and also just political backstabbery, whereas the bound clones are more like, oh, these were the clone stock. They weren't cool enough to be vanguards or like become like high clones.
Yeah.
They're kind of shit at their job. We're just gonna kind of give
Yeah,
them like, their
So sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, so like there are different hierarchies in the clones themselves, just based on like I guess lineage. So there's like some that are like actual like offshoots of the sovereign lineage, and then there are other like lineages, like other exiles of different rank that were like the seed for like the clone line, right?
Okay, so you could be like, I'm a Jeff lineage clone and I'm only into Sarah lineage clones.
I think it's a little bit more your lineage that you would be made from, because all clones are owned by the lineage that they're part of. And the thing is,
okay, like how many
Hold on.
unique people are there?
we don't know.
Sorry, go ahead.
We don't know how many unique people there are, because that would go into how many exiles are left.
Yeah, we don't know.
But also, like, there are different strains of clone, like marksman clones. They are clones of a lineage, but they are very different. They're skewed a specific way to be a specific kind of body and a specific kind of. They're made for a job.
Notably 3 arms.
Yes.
And less good eyesight comparative to the previous iterations of archer clones.
Yeah, but shoot fast.
Exactly.
Hey, more shots, more good.
And then I'm kind of just looking here. It looks like variation is intentionally injected into the clone projects to
Well, that's
create.
not clones.
They are clones.
They're identical copies. As soon as you inject variations, you've made a new thing. Not clones.
Think of it like Brave New World, though, right? Where it's like they'll make like a batch of like I don't know, like 20 at a time.
We've talked about this.
Well, the thing is, something can be a clone.
I
You
am part of
can
a growing
change-
movement, the illiterate by choice. Sorry, go ahead.
It's okay. It's just they're creating variation because clones, as you said, are just copies. But these are just using exiled.
I'm sorry, am I the only person who's not taking crazy pills here? That's not clones.
Clones?
Think of it more like genetic engineering.
Yeah.
Technically, you are
It's just
correct.
It's just a word.
They're taking the same DNA template and then they tamper with it to induce just enough variation that they all don't turn into like.
Think of it like
I
twins.
think if they were real
Upper-handed.
with it, they'd inbreed.
Think of it like the variation you see between identical twins.
No, let's.
I refuse to think that way.
Okay. So if you take, all right, this is we're getting like snagged in a snarl here, but you take a Cass, you put Cass in a gestation chamber. You take a little bit of that Cass and you put it in another gestation chamber, and you change, I don't know, one chromosome on the other Cass. Are they still Cass?
No, Shipatheus kicks in.
Okay. that's fine. They still call them clones because they're a lesser class of casts.
I don't care for this.
Cass will not be clone shamed.
Okay, they don't care if it's the right word. They are still lesser.
They
beings.
barely care about personhood as a concept. I think that's the big hang up we have, is that we're constantly trying to view this through like a very humanistic lens, and it's like, no,
I refuse to be hot dog for the purposes of understanding another culture.
There we go. They're all hot dog people. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
So in Spire society, the way that you earn personhood is generally speaking through military service, and like generally speaking, only like a high clone executor has like the potential to earn personhood, and most of the time they don't, because they don't want to go into like the political intrigue, like backstab realm.
Well, also they struggle.
Well, I earn my personhood by being beautiful and special.
They also,
so I don't understand the way they do it there.
They also
Has to
struggle
be
to
a
pull themselves out of their opium haze,
Terraphon.
because when they're in the Terraphon suit, they're getting pumped full of combat drugs.
everything.
Yeah. Generally speaking, well, there are like the high clone executors, though there are a notable number that like don't. It's kind of like, oh, if you manage to be a high clone, then that means that you've managed to like go through Vanguard clone training, Vanguard clone infiltrator training. You've served as a Terraphon pilot, and you've managed to like pull yourself out of the Terraphon pilot, the Terraphon biosuit long enough to like become lucid and command an army, and probably gain patronage or at least servitude to some lineage.
Pretty much.
So like high clone executors are actually like super badasses.
1 in a million. A clone that became a person.
I get to be a real boy.
But it's a Pinocchio story for real. They're made of more than just wood.
What's funny too about high clone executors is that it's like, to your point about like the Spires not doing anything they can get somebody else to do. It basically states in their lore blurb that it's like, oh, you know, like these lineages and stuff like have all these troops, but like they basically suck ass at actually commanding. So the high clones who've gone through like all of these different wars are basically like, or like all these different battles and campaigns and stuff are like, okay, I guess I'll run the army for you again.
Poor guys. So what are, okay, I have a question. What's up with the aristocrats and the nobility of Spires? Like what's their whole thing? Like why, how, like, so you come with these clans, or these, I don't know, like, are they blood genotypes? Because I always understood it as like blood genotype, like your purity or
It's
whatever.
like a genetic lineage.
Yeah, so your lineage, like, is there a way for a clone to become a noble, or is it just like, screw you, you're a clone?
That's how you become a person. And once you're a person, because you are like genetically different because of the variation implemented in the clone project, you probably could become in some form.
I think that high clone executors that are able to distinguish themselves to a significant enough level can be introduced into lineage society, but
they're probably the lowest.
It's generally it's kind of like, oh, you're not one of the cool you're not one of the OG crowd, and then also like they're not used to the just sheer amount of like debauched backstabbing nobility mind games bullshit that all the nobles love to play while they're eating Fabergé eggs or whatever they're getting up to. So like,
yeah,
a lot of them don't really.
None of them do it.
Yeah, none of them really hack it that well if they try.
In theory, though, be it through either like scientific or academic achievements or through combat prowess, theoretically you can earn personhood, but basically nobody ever does. And those who do like achieve that amount basically are never able to make the leap into like lineage society for the same reason.
You are basically and it's gone like within the level of the Directorate, because the Directorate aren't part of the lineages. They're exiles that are not part of the houses, and if they are, they still owe allegiance to the Directorate more.
It's kind of like Nouveau Riche trying to like get into like the old money world, where they just kind of look at you and it's like,
new
exactly.
money. Poor.
You have exactly. New
Start
money.
calling him a poor. Okay, so then tell me about the lineages and the Avatara and all their stick. Like, break those guys down, because they're interesting because they have cool robot suits or bio suits.
Break them down.
Well, you got to build them up.
Break them down? That's not. I mean, like, they are the nobility. Just imagine the most Victorian era nobility.
So the fun thing about the Avatara suits is that being nobles, they've obviously got much more important things to worry about than fighting and dying like a common pleb on the battlefield. So they are also bored. So what they decide eventually through all their eons of experimentation and iteration and whatnot, they eventually stumbled upon a sort of biological mech suit, if you will, and figured out a way to transfer their consciousness into this suit, kind of remote projecting into it, and
By the way, that has a range on it for the most part.
Yeah, it's about 2 kilometers.
So they get close enough, but basically, through projecting their consciousness into this biological murder mech suit, they are able to engage in debauched blood sport for their amusement, without any actual risk, usually to their actual selves.
They treat these mech suits as well as like a race car driver would treat their race car. They put sponsorships, they put doohickeys, they put everything.
Oh my god!
More excitingly,
Imagine like an avatar is stabbing you in the chest, and then you look up and he's got a fucking hot dog patch on his chest.
Sponsored by
Nestle. Have you seen them?
About that, because they're so bored of the idea about like, who notches kills on their belt. That's barbaric. That's for savages. No, I'm just going to give myself supernumerary teeth and mouths for like every single kill that I make until I'm just like this horrible, just screaming collection of like extra mouths and eyes. And if or if one was so inclined, it's like I've given myself special orifices where I just like take off a piece of my opponent's flesh, and then it masticates it for me, and then it just regurgitates a perfectly formed hot dog or something like that.
You imagine
they're more like dolls than they are like tools of war to them. They're play toys.
Yeah.
These are usually young nobles that are going out and doing this.
The old nobles don't care anymore. You imagine if you showed up.
Those are the older nobles, the ones that command.
Mm-hmm.
Those are usually the ones you see in like the Prideborns or the actual Highborn.
They've grown so bored of mindless blood sport that they now wish to engage in the hunt.
Yes.
You get an arrow written on it that has Nestle.
I'm going to shoot an elephant, and by elephant I mean like a human noble.
Yeah.
Or sometimes a literal elephant if it's Sorcerer Kings.
That's not really a literal elephant now, is it? They're all dead.
It's a mud elephant.
It's a stone elephant.
What are you going to call it then? A clay amalgamation that resembles a psychic tandem war elephant.
Call it the Earth King's fruitcake gift.
This Spires.
One day he'll get it. He'll get it right.
We'll get to that episode eventually, Matt.
Eventually, yeah. That's
so good.
Fun. Yeah, that's a fun one.
So one thing that's as an aside that's interesting is the sovereign lineage, like the Big Kahuna himself, actually, has developed unlimited avatar projection technology. Like there's no limit on the range. Well, he has it.
He jealously controls it, and if he finds anyone who develops it, ruthlessly, removes them.
Yes.
Which that ties into a little bit of the Fractured Concord story. Which
For fun reference, when the Avatara suits were first developed, he was keenly interested in the production notes and also was very invested in making sure that anyone involved in that original project is now dead.
Yeah.
Damn, what a great guy.
Even if Sovereign is like a bitch boy, he is a very meticulous and covers
He's a smart
his own
bitch boy.
bitch boy.
Like, he's good at being a bitch boy.
Yeah. He has the right amount of cowering.
Cass, would you call this gentleman a birthday boy?
Yeah, I'm definitely hearing some birthday boy tendencies there. I should explain. I should quote the actual tweet that this comes from, so that there's some context for that. Let me just get it, because I wasn't thinking about this until this now. But luckily, I always have birthday boy tweet Google, so it's in my history. All right. So the reason why I call people birthday boys, and I think this is going to perfectly explain things. Anyway, so we're good. And I quote, I dated a 5'8" guy who'd taunt every jacked 6'3" bro he met until they'd pull their fist back to beat him up. Whereupon my ex would go, hey, come on, I'm a little guy. I'm just a little guy. No, it's also my birthday. I'm a little birthday boy. And somehow it always worked.
This motherfucker did that with the dragons.
Yeah. Imagine playing the birthday boy.
I want to point out too is like, you know how we like look at the spires that we have as like, you know,
Devil's Finger.
It's kind of a uniform type of how they look. No. Spires crop up everywhere across all of Aya. So like in jungles, under the sea, in deserts, and they take on the form of things around them when they do that. So like Avatara mech suits, they could have giant fins and frills and scales like fish. They could have like cactuses for display purposes. Or like, you know, they could be more than just these humanoid looking filigreed. I don't know. This thing is an abomination.
They're beautiful. I'm literally painting them right now. It's one of my favorite units in the game.
The abomination?
Like they could...
No, the Avatara.
It's like decked out with like, instead of jewels and shit, it's like grown jewelry where it's just plates of bone growing into like designed forms, or like, here's a little pendant and it's full of like angry snapping jaws with like an eye coming out of the middle just to stare at things when it eats them, like
just an eye growing on your throat.
And these can come in so many different forms too. Like the imagination is the limit for this stuff. Like,
come on, Stavro, give me the Shark Avatara.
So for your homework, people, I would recommend that you look up one of the earlier Founders exclusives, which was the Legacies of the Ark. And it is basically...
so sick.
It is, what if we took the boring normal kid, Lineage Highborn, and what if we showed you one where they've been at it a while and they've just been letting their imagination run wild. So... It basically has like a 3-tiered jaw system, like some Giga Xenomorph, on a serpentine snake body with 6 arms protruding so that it can hold more weapons with which to cut things down. It has like extra eyes. It's a real piece of work.
Oh, you know what this reminds me of?
To me, it sounds like basically the question that the Spire seemed to ask itself is like, what if a clone but hot?
Yeah. But also, like, what if she was 12 feet tall and, like...
I said hot.
You said hot?
You know the Jurassic Park thing?
Okay,
you know the Jurassic Park thing where...
Got to be more specific.
Where it's like, you're too busy asking yourself if you could... when you should have been asking if yeah, exactly. Just reverse that and basically crank that up to 11, and you got Spire's tech.
That's very apt, honestly.
Yeah, their morals are completely different from ours. everything is basically spreadsheets, and the directorate and the nobles are kind of fun in a sense that, from a human perspective, they seem so cartoonishly evil, but from them, they're just like, oh shit, like we're kind of, it's gotten really expensive to have these clones or like drones that are starting to like try to talk, even though they shouldn't know how to do that. Can we like kill them all? And it's like, we can, but I would strongly advise that you don't like repurpose their biomass, because what if it's a genetic thing and it like contaminates future batches of drones, and then we just have to kill them? Think of the time that we'll lose doing this. It's like, oh,
when you read the lore,
like, what's my boss gonna say? Like, he's not gonna be happy to read this report, and it's just like,
Yeah.
Oh,
We actually have a couple examples of their reports too, I think. And they're very clinical, and they're done in the way that you would think humans would make reports. Like, it's very dry.
it's
in the
so
same-
good.
in the same way someone might document like a computer bug, or like someone might be like, 3 a.m. Jensen went into the lab. 3:05 a.m. Jensen, like just had explosive diarrhea. 3:07 p.m. The janitorial staff was called in to clean the mess. Jensen sent home. This, that, blah blah blah. 3:30 p.m. Okay. The hazard signs have been removed. The floor is dry. It's just like some poor son of a bitch clerk just like writing about their day and just being like, and then this happened, and then this happened. Anyway, there's my status report for the day. Can I finally go home, please?
Steve, quickly go to memes and read what I just posted.
Oh no.
Out loud for everybody.
This will be good. Every Resident Evil scientist memo. Page 1. I crossbred a silverback gorilla with a praying mantis and gave it AK-47s for arms. Bob has been poking it with a stick nonstop for 80 hours now. Hopefully it does not escape. Page 2. It escaped.
Every Spires laugh.
You
Pretty
just
much.
described Leonine Avatara, okay?
It escaped.
Actually, no.
I mean-
You described brute drones with guns. on
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
Oh my god, you imagine if the brute drones had AK-47s instead of blades? So many more
Well, actually,
problems.
it is fun because just a quick little jump while we're on that thought process. That's the Desolation drones, kind of, because basically they're just like a cleaning tool where they're literally made to just like grow a sack of like digestive enzymes, and they clean out the vats between rounds of like drone growth, and then drone growth at some point. And then some of the director were like, "Shit, we're kind of short on troops. This stuff does dissolve flesh. Let's see how it works. Oh, that was actually pretty good. Cool. Now we can have them pull double duty."
Let's actually read it from the page. Desolation drones are some of the most feared troops that the Spires can deploy, despite their humble origins. Once no more than disposable spawning pool disinfectants, it did not take long for some enterprising biomancer to see what the effect of the digestive liquids they sprayed on the vats would have on the battlefield. His immediate promotion granted him all the resources he would need to update the weaponry to deliver the liquids from afar. Though the range still leaves something to be desired, the base trooper design remains unchanged, allowing for very efficient production to replace the unavoidable losses.
Beautiful.
That is quintessential corporate bullshit.
Low key though, they started off with range 12. They're now range 14. There's not that much to be desired about their range. It's fine.
I don't know what you're talking about. Flamecasters are range 14. I hear people love that.
Yeah, people are allowed to be wrong. It's a free country.
What are you talking about? Torrential Rapid. Come on. Let's go.
Oh, let's not start that. We're on the lore episode.
Into the rules bucket episode. Oh my god, should we get like Chuck and Rollo on like a rules episode?
You're gonna have a hard time getting Chuck on to do interviews.
Chuck can't do this through text messages. He's out.
Just strap him down. Just kidnap a man.
Like you can try to get Chuck to talk, but I don't think Chuck will talk.
He'll talk. He just won't talk about anything you want, and he'll just steer the conversation as his.
We should do a Cassandra and Chuck episode.
Oh no.
Oh man, that's gonna have to be like that would have to be an in-person interview.
That's fine. probably
Chuck
see him
could
at
just go.
something.
Chuck's just gonna do. I'm not driving to fucking Canada. They can come here.
Well, is he going to Worlds or what?
I don't know. Is he?
know. Last I heard, he might not be because his day job is he's a school teacher, and apparently, from Parabella's website, it's like at the start of September, which in the U.S. is like usually like one of the first couple weeks of school, and he's just like,
They're
not getting that time off.
Yeah, the end of August is usually the beginning of school. September is the first month. And then October is generally when it starts ramping.
Yeah, but
up.
nothing really happens in like the first week or two. It's just like people are figuring out where everything is. But like the first week of September, usually that's far enough along that it's like, okay, things are actually happening now. So
yeah,
okay,
he might, but I think the odds are pretty low.
All right, well, hopefully he'll come out because then I could just hold him down there. My question for you two gentlemen. What is the difference, and what do the Biomancer and Pheromancer do? Like, what's the difference between these two guys, and what's their whole shtick in the Spires hierarchy?
I can feel this one. One stinks good.
Close.
Which one's your favorite, Steve?
The Smellomancer.
So the Biomancer is probably the one that like when the game was first like I got into it probably. I got hooked on the idea of getting into the game probably around like March or April of 2020, back when COVID was doing its thing, and I'm like, well, I have nothing to fucking do except sit on the internet all day.
Yep.
Oh, this game looks interesting, but like the models don't jump out. Oh, what the fuck is this? It was very visually striking with like the horrible like skin mask and the living like stitched together bony fleshy eye encrusted like staff, and I'm like, it's happening again. God damn it. Where's my wallet?
I had a similar experience, but when I saw an orc girl in a bikini riding a dinosaur.
There you go.
But so I guess to a very high level, so Biomancers are basically masters of their craft, using scientific methods that are, I guess, advanced enough to the point where it's indistinguishable from magic. Basically, they have extreme mastery over flesh, particularly living flesh. They're able to mess with genes. They're able to mess with like sodium channels and various biological pathways within the body.
Not the sodium.
Hey, sodium's important.
It fucking is.
But basically, so they're basically able to like cause tremendous boosts in like metabolic processes. They're able to, trigger latent, gene edits to suddenly kick in and start doing something to the body. A lot of their abilities usually come with a bit of backlash. The body tends to not like being pushed to such extremes in such a short amount of time. So a lot of their abilities in gameplay terms, they get this big boost of power, and then all of a sudden, once they're done this, the body's kind of like, oh, what's happening? And they kind of like microwave themselves from the inside, just kind of like
they just shit themselves to death.
Yeah, a couple soldiers in the regiment will just kind of be like, I don't feel so good, and they just like melt into like a hissing pile of hot dog goo.
To build on what Steve said, is Biomancers are masters of their art, not just of the art, but of science, and they are also the byproduct of their own mastery.
Yep.
Because they are exiles that have turned themselves into their own science project. But at the same time, like, they've been crafted by the environment of the Directorate. Because we talked about the lineages.
Mm-hmm.
But the Directorate is another beast entirely. It is this entire corporate environment. Whereas the lineages are the noble houses and things. The Directorate is the industry of the Spires. It is the everything. It is what keeps the Spires alive. The roots, the trunk, everything is in their control, essentially. And the Biomancers are the corporate executives, the middle management, the upper management. They're the ones who do all the controlling and doing all the experiments.
Yep, they're also kind of like they're kind of like the lab PIs that like are constantly fighting over funding and grant money and begging the nobles to kind of like, be their patrons and, hey, look at my cool new research. Shit, my research isn't as cool as I thought. We need to come up with some reason for them to, want to keep giving us money and granting us unlimited resources. And, I have to write justifications for why I should be able to, continue my research.
See,
to one of Matt's earlier fun points, when they modify their own physiology, because they're so attuned to like sensory things, they'll actually like make their own like clothing out of their own like skin and stuff, so that they can modify it to like not cause sensory overload. They will modify their stomach and their metabolic systems to not require as much food, so that they don't have to go and do stupid things like eat and shit, and they can just study and do
So
research.
they're bio-autistics.
They're like
Yeah.
the Mechanicums, but instead of doing metal and machinery, they're like, let's just
I'm
get
gonna
more
biomancy
dicks.
myself so that all food is chicken tenders. Oh, I'm gonna biomancy myself so that shirts don't feel bad.
Like,
I mean,
actually, yeah.
Bio.
Essentially, in its own way, yeah. The thing is, like, you have to get to a level of mastery to be able to do that, though.
So
whereas-
what you're telling me is that these guys are a bunch of like nerds who have to make everything more comfortable for themselves, and then meanwhile, somehow lower on the totem pole are the pheromancers who just come in and fart real good, and then everything's cool. They're just like,
So
the drones don't want to fight. Then this guy comes in, he's like, Brent. All of a sudden they want to fight.
So, pheromancers.
Plays the
It's-
brown
it's-
note and the drone shits himself immediately.
So
Yeah.
it's still biomancy, but it's the
It's
lowest
just like
form.
the lowest, saddest form.
I disagree.
Instead,
It's-
I think it was described as at one point like the
Culture-
like,
See, I come from a people who are very appreciative of somebody who stinks good. So my perspective on this, I think, is skewed.
Well, the thing is, like, it's not just stinking. Pheromones are so much more than just stinking. It's smelling good. It's giving, like, it is something that.
I understand what you're saying, but I think I'm more right in boiling it down to saying that pheromones ultimately are stinks good.
I mean, that's fair. It's because, like, that's a very easy way to put it.
I mean,
That's true.
induced lethargy literally forces you not to breathe. Like, it shuts
it
down
just-
your actual literal ability to breathe.
it disrupts your oxygen pathways and like reduces the cell's ability to like the blood cell's ability to like carry and like transfer oxygen and do all the exchanges and stuff. And they're just like, oh fuck, I'm kind of winded right now, and it's you're
So that-
literally not able to react as well.
So, like,
to
that
defend
gives you a little bit of a look at the pheromancers. Is they may not be biomantic masters, but they are still very well versed in their own craft. And they may be the lower management, the gophers of the biomancers, but they still have power. They still have rank of some sort. They're still probably above a clone. They may even be a clone of some sort.
So, the way that I would put it almost is if you're thinking of like a lab, or like if you're thinking of essentially the biomancers are kind of either like the head of a lab or like an engineer, whereas like the pheromancers are more like techs. Like they're the ones who are doing a lot of the grunt work, and the grunt work being like actually like spawning drones, actually spawning clones, that kind of stuff. They're more hands-on.
Squirt the nutrient yeast into the petri dish, clean the glassware, reorder the supplies. Meanwhile, the PI is off, in suits, getting grants, living it up.
And I really recommend, if anyone wants to like see like what that might be like, read the Faded Magenta story in the Living World. All of it. It has how many chapters? 22 chapters. And it's very good. It gives a lot of insight into the day-to-day of a Pheromancer and what he would be able to do and what he has access to. And it also talks a bit about the intrigue of the lower Spires politics.
Scheming, wanting to try to, prove your research so that you can rise in the ranks and get out of obscurity. The seething hatred of your bosses.
So, but hold on. The guy that you're trying to screw over to get your research all the money, isn't that guy just you?
Another one.
I get that,
It's
actually.
another guy of your rank.
No, I finally get that.
It's just another clone of you.
What if he had my eyebrows and I fucking hated him?
Well, it's just you, so you're fine.
I do hate her.
I think
this
that
makes sense.
At one point, it was sort of. Also, this is a weird thing that I didn't remember. I guess, but I'll be honest, I didn't realize it until today when I was doing last minute preparations. But I guess that a lot of the pheromantic control comes from they actually ingest the blood of their their group and use that to kind of like tailor a lot of the pheromantic signals that they send out.
That would make sense because blood has all the things you need to produce what you have. Like they may just have specific vials for specific groups if they if they know which ones they are. And I'm sure on the battlefield they can take that specific, like they can go. When you used to be able to what was it called? Seek new escort.
Yep.
Yeah.
You could probably just take the blood of another unit and be like, "Hey, you're mine now." You could probably do that. It just because of all the apparatus that's on him, like that's not.
Well, I was going to say probably when they were going in preparation, like go into combat. I'm sure that when they were like loading up all the drones on their little, clothes hanger headpieces in the ships and whatnot, they probably were just like, okay, just take samples from every group and just roll from there.
Yeah. I specifically remember a little while ago when we were shit posting in one of the channels. And I wrote that one thing that Carl destroyed and took away from me, and now I feel the loss. I specifically remember typing out that is an anagram where each letter is a word.
I thought each letter was like an anagram. Was it mixed?
Yeah.
Or is it forward and backwards?
I specifically,
an acronym?
Yeah, an acronym. Yeah. I specifically talked about the pheromancer and how his suit was a synthetic. It's something, but the anagram ended up, or the acronym ended up being simp suit. I just thought about that and I wanted to share because I think their battle dress is actually more commonly standardized because they don't have the mastery. I think almost every pheromancer probably looks like the pheromancer we see.
So what if the high clones are in the command universal module suit?
Oh dear.
Anyway, one thing that I've been trying to get to and keep flubbing, to kind of help just high level the difference between biomancy and pheromancy. If a biomancer's abilities might be compared to a virtuoso performance on the field of battle, adapting troops instantly to counter the foe, then the pheromancers are the conductors, using the talents to guide even the wildest of drones into a symphony of destruction and slaughter.
Yep.
So there we go. There's that for the listener.
The pheromancer is the bitch.
Sort of like
Pretty much.
they're still like a deadly force on the
thing
battlefield.
is, okay,
Yeah,
here's the thing. If I was the pheromancer and I was getting pushed around by some biomancer dick ass motherfucker, you know what I would do? I'd sneak into his chamber when he's not paying attention, and I would hit some SBDs that would program him to be nice to Cassandra.
Well, it's funny you should mention this because if you read the Faded Magenta story, you might find out how he takes to being bullied by his higher ups that he absolutely hates.
Should we just do
Is
that as
it
an
tactical
episode?
SBD deployment?
Something like that.
What were you trying to scream, Mass?
I was trying to scream.
No.
Should we just do the Fate of Magenta as another lore episode at some point down the line?
That'd be
I
a
think,
fun one. It's one of my favorite stories.
Okay.
I think like a direct reading of it would be really fun because like you set the stage and then you do the individual.
As long as
chapters.
that won't excite Parabellum's legal department, in which case I want nothing to do.
The thing is, it's publicly posted on their website. Okay. I think that's a little bit different than like reading from a book that you would buy.
But remember,
That's big talk for someone who's not the owner of the channel that's at risk here. Man.
That's true. I don't know the intent.
I can get 3 copyright strikes. I'll be fine.
You're talking a real big game for someone else. Your mouth's talking a big game for someone else's ass to cash. So
I like writing checks, not for me.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
I love to cash that ass. What? What are we?
Like, we could do it as an audio drama.
You could do that. There's different characters.
Was he always faded magenta, or is that like a depression thing? Was he ever vivid magenta?
I mean, that's his name. And that's
Yeah,
like
that's
faded. Oh, here, Steve, talk about the
No,
name.
because they call me faded Cassandra, but that's definitely their.
I know what you're getting at with the naming convention, Matt. I'm less sure of myself than I had been in my youth, because now today when I was doing my homework session, reading the Cliff's Notes, there were a few that did not quite match the convention I came up with, at least at a glance, in a way that would fit it. My thought was that you had kind of contrasting ideas as part of the naming convention, so faded magenta.
Magenta's a very bright color. It's very it doesn't fade easily. While faded is like it's showing a passage of time.
The Fractured Concord, Scheduled Serendipity, which is one of my favorites.
Yeah, that was
Serendipity is a great name. That honestly sounds like a doll name.
She is a doll, though.
Basically, yeah.
Her arrival in the Fractured Concord story, I thought she was going to be a bigger character.
She's got that bad bitch energy.
I thought she was going to be her own story, because they set it up that be.
She might. It's just that I think that the shift away from having purely character-driven narratives in the living world kind of necessitated her not getting that kind of rapid follow-up. But you also have Errant Vicissitude, and then probably my next favorite, Equivocal Excellence.
Yeah, I just saw that one. That's really fun.
But then you have stuff like the Fractured Concord's original name, before he became a perma Avatara, just mind-hopping around, was, I think, Shade of Vermilion?
No, it was, because I'm looking at the
subject's true moniker was Shade of Vermilion.
Yep. Yeah, that's correct.
You know what?
I remember that guy. I thought it was all color dudes.
I think that might actually have to do something with age or position within a house. Because everyone we've seen with a name has been either high in their house, like they have a position, or they're subject to somebody.
Yeah,
and Shade of Vermilion means he's part of the Vermilion house.
Shit, and then there was another one that I was thinking of. There's also Negative Dearth from the Awakening storyline. That was a fun one. He was, I think, a merchant prince that was down on his luck, if I'm not mistaken, and he took an old Dominion. Yep, he took the old Dominion up on an offer to give them a love potion. And when they rolled up, they were like, "We seek the scent of life," and he's like, "Yeah, love potion, right?" And they're like, "Not quite. Our masters made you a new offer. We will pay 5 times the amount that was originally agreed upon if you give us the guy that made it. Accept." And he's like, "Sure. I really don't want to get turned into an ant, but that's a lot of fucking money to basically give you Dave, the level 3 lab tech that made this thing. Shit, man. I'm gonna take you up on that offer. Sorry, Dave."
Did you find? I found one of the names. It's Punctilious.
No, it was
Punctilious Abstraction.
Punklicious?
Punctilious.
Spires got a rapper name?
I can't even fucking say it.
Fight through it. Where did you find it? In what section?
I found it in the Faded Magenta in chapter 17.
No. This guy's name is Punklicious now. We have a new character in the BonkTable.
Spires just have non-binary names. 3 people listen to this podcast.
Punklicious is a non-binary name.
What paragraph? Fight through it, Matt.
It's the very beginning of chapter 17.
You can't fight through it.
Chapter 17 progress.
Yeah, tell us about the syphilis dragon again.
It's punctilious. Shut the fuck up. It's punctilious abstraction.
Let's stop letting them fight through it.
Okay, number 17. I'm looking at the story. Oh, Fractured Concord. Never mind. I'm a dummy.
You're on the wrong one.
Yeah, I'm on Faded. Whoops a daisy. That's very embarrassing. Technical.
Okay, though, if there's Faded Magenta.
Oh, the punctilious. Okay, Google, help me out of this hole that I've got.
I'm pretty sure it's punctilious.
Yes, punctilious abstraction.
Still a great name,
Yeah.
punctilious.
Which is showing great attention to detail or correct behavior. So
yeah, and then abstraction is like not showing detail. It's
that's another good one. So the one I was thinking of was the high clone from the Arena story, Indigo Imperative.
Oh yeah.
My Spire's name would be Green Jeff.
There you go. You do that. That I think that works, honestly.
But also, what's your Spire's name?
Do we have the document from
My Spire's name is Wit Magenta.
Faction 8?
Oh yeah.
Because that was where we saw the Merchant Prince name that was helping Matjas.
Do I still have? Let's see.
It was something. It was like Crimson
Deepest Lore, Project 8 lore. Let's see if this is it.
Wait, did you copy it all?
There's some people who have.
Now that's a silly question, Matt. Or Matt.
See, I was the shit one who didn't grab the copy of it because I was just enjoying it being around, and I didn't think that they would.
I don't think I had the lead-in stories that preceded the first 3 voting periods. Which makes me very sad because I wanted like what's his face's story where like he stumbles across hell or like no, I don't think
that guy's name. They still haven't put him up in the archive. They really need to get him up there.
Well, I feel kind of this. I won't name names, but I did tell someone from Parabellum, not this most recent LVO, but the LVO before it's like 2004. I was like, "Oh, hey, just so you know, the Seers story is not in the archives." And they just kind of go, "That's weird." They whip out their phone, they put in a little message. It's still not there, so I don't know what happened. But it's kind of like
it's just gone.
It's like, no, that was a fun story. It was the more boring of the 2 OD stories, but it was still entertaining.
Like all the different ones that aren't there anymore. Like because there's so many little details in all of them,
and they're fun to read. Like I can't wait until they like have the resources and time to kind of like dedicate to like really drilling down on that because like it really they have some fun little stories in there.
Oh, they have his little portrait, Einar Banamather.
Yeah, Banamather. I'm sure that I'm sure that a bunch of people are going to be like, "That's not how you pronounce that." And so,
but when you click on the read more for him, it just goes to a 404 page, and I really love his story.
Yeah, no, his is great because at the risk of veering into Nord's territory, he basically like an out of control Einherjar that like mutated into like a giant pig, like killed his family, and he's like, "I'm gonna fucking kill it, fuck you." Yeah, he basically killed this god pig, and then he was in the wilderness. He's like, "Fuck, I have no food. I guess I have to eat this god pig." And now he's like starting to degenerate because it's like overpowering like his.
Well, not even just that. Like he got to talk directly with Loki. He's got two of the warg pups.
First of all, we didn't get that far in the story. Like you're skipping steps after the god big thing, and plus we have to leave something for the Nords episode.
But there's so much with him.
Then we'll do the Nords episode. But first, tell me about the fucking mimic assassin.
Oh, the mimetic assassin.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in the lore, they're really cool. So this is the mimetic assassin is another instance of the sovereign being super paranoid because he's like, so wait, your research project that you want me to sponsor is you want to make a camouflaging assassin that can fuck with people's minds so it can better stab their targets. Motherfucker, I am onto you. I will directly oversee this project so I know exactly what you fuckers are getting up to. You will use exactly the genetic like traits and lineage like graphs and everything that I explicitly permit you to use. And the director, being the director, kind of like, okay, so we can't give it chameleon powers. We have to improvise and find a way to recreate this without direct like chameleon photo whatever like genetic templates. So let's get creative, guys. And basically they created some horrible little thing purpose made to emit like hormonal and like pheromonal like control measures to like either lull you into a false sense of security or amplify your fear or like not be able to smell things and like all sorts of horrible little things to fuck with your mind so that it can basically just like disguise itself as a clone or a drone, walk up to you in combat, then just like spring out into like forearms of like blades and screaming. And
it's like it's an alien assassin with like 7 daggers. That has anybody here read Mistborn?
in places that might surprise you.
If you haven't, if you've read Mistborn, it has the power.
Like what on a fridge?
What?
Like on an ebook reader on a smart fridge? When you said you read it in unexpected places.
No.
I expected people.
It has 7 daggers in places that might surprise you.
Oh, I thought you meant.
I interjected over Matt as I'm doing it.
So yeah, it has 7 daggers in places that might surprise you, but it also has the power to manipulate emotions through pheromancy. And I asked, has anybody read or listened to Mistborn?
No.
Okay, that's fine. Anybody who has that's listening to this, it has the power to soothe.
What?
Which is a very big thing, where it manipulates emotions and everything around it.
So there's Brian isn't here, but there's a book series called I think it's The Prince of Nothing or like The Darkness That Comes Before series or whatever. It's by R. Scott Bakker. In that series, there is a faction of these ancient alien genetic engineers who are basically analogous to the Spires, and to the point where the Terraphon suit is exactly like some of the Inkoroi tech, and to the point where Brian and I both kind of independently are like, Spires are Inkoroi. Like, as soon as I found out he read that series, I was like, Spires are Inkoroi, aren't they? And he's like, yeah. And anyways, there are things in those books called skin spies. They're a little different, but their behavior is almost the exact same. So what skin spies do is they're kind of like a small creature that basically will like find a target and it'll like latch onto their head and like clamp down on their head, kind of like an isopod, and replicate their form. But basically, they operate with like superhuman reflexes, and as well as like the capacity to like manipulate like other people, like their target's perception.
Okay,
Cool.
that is pretty neat.
Yeah, I don't know. We were just talking, like, just when you were mentioning the thing that is similar to. If Brian was here, he would back me up.
Do you want me
Skin
to
Spies?
call
If you want to
him?
read about a thing that is like a mimetic assassin, read the Darkness That Comes Before series, and just think in your head, Skin Spies are mimetic assassins.
Yeah, that's fair. But you know, they're really neat. I like them. I just wish that we got more like about them. The only piece of lore we really have for the mimetic is the arena.
But it is a fun little story.
It is a fun little story. It's about a mimetic assassin and a high clone executor dueling for their masters in the blood games or blood sports. Which, by the way, those happen months and months on end, just for the nobles' pleasure, just because they want to see who's best.
In this one's case, the noble that is sponsoring the high clone is having him fight so that he can be afforded more prestige amongst his peers and be allowed to kind of enter a higher rung of the nobility cool kid club, as it were. And he's very of all the sense. It's great because he's freaking out because the assassin's like lulling him into a false sense of security, and then it like shows that it wasn't actually, it was just toying with him, and now it's amplifying his fear. And he starts to pick up on the like all the inputs of the audience, the anger and fear and this and that, and then he just senses one thing out of all of them, and it's just
disappointment.
From the direction of his master, he can distinctly sense disappointment as he just icily stares at the sad spectacle before him.
Oh.
Yep. It doesn't. We don't know how the fight ends, do we? It goes back into
basically he gets angry and he's like he'll make his master proud. He won't fucking lose. And then basically the thing just leaps at him and he steels himself to try and land a blow, and then it just ends there.
Yeah.
You know what else these Spires, like the upper echelons of the Spires, remind me of? Kind of similar to the Harkonnens.
Sheer nonsense out of the Harkonnens.
Well, they have like the slave games. They view their troops as like fairly expendable. They're constantly like dealing with like stabbing each other in the back, like Fade Rautha trying to kill the Baron Harkonnen, and so on and so forth. It's very much like that kind of a vibe.
Oh, from Dune.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, I know what that is.
Okay, so
We reference Dune
A
like
lot.
in person so much. Yeah.
a lot. Like, Cass, have you read Dune?
Of course.
Okay, yeah, like I was pretty sure you did.
Oh,
Like the
Cass,
three of us
you have
make
said
Dune
you-
jokes to each other all the time because it's just wild, this dumb shit in Dune.
So a fun little anecdote. One of my friends, he doesn't do Conquest, but one of his favorite books of all time was Dune, and he would read it so often in high school that during study hall, one of his teachers pulled him aside and went, "I noticed that you've been working on that book for a while. Like, are you struggling to read it? Because if so, we have resources." And he's like, "Oh no, you don't understand. I haven't been struggling to read this. I just love this book so much that I'm on like my ninth read through of it. Like, I can read. Like, that's not the problem here."
I can recite the first 300 pages to you.
Yeah, the
Verbatim.
issue is not illiteracy, the issue is autism. Like, I understand.
Once you become a giant worm, you never go back.
Oh man, that thing so I went to Saskatoon for a tournament, and I was like sleeping on Jeff's in his basement in a sleeping bag. And I can't remember like the exact scenario, but like I woke up, right? And I kind of like sat up, and like my head was sticking out of it, and it's like this red sleeping bag, and Mass just like looks over at me, and he's like, "Oh, it's the God Emperor."
He was like fully enwrapped in this stupid sleeping bag. It had like the little slinky parts like a worm has and everything, and it was kind of like it was orange. Oh
Yeah.
my god. Like Bernie, I think, was already up, or I don't know what he was doing, but you were just like in this
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
and only your little head was sticking out.
Yeah, just kind of like partially, like I was basically like on my knees because I was like standing up or like getting up, but I was still in the sleeping bag. Because I was like getting out of it, but it was like partially unzipped, so you could like see my torso, and you're just like, "Oh my god, it's the God Emperor of Dune."
Yeah, it was so good. Okay, back on topic. Steve, pick a unit and give us some more on some of these units. Like, there's some fun ones in here, like the Brute Drones and the Incarnate Sentinels and the Siege Breaker and the Abomination. I've heard rumors that the Abomination is just prisoners trapped in an abomination and just tortured.
I guess in that sense, yeah, we might as well do the Abomination. That's a fun one.
Yeah, I love the Abomination.
So you're not wrong. So if if you piss off the Sovereign, or if you violate some of their most generally limited but most like sacred red lines, if you're lucky, they'll just kill you. I believe they refer to it as deletion. If you've been extra bad and they're extra pissed at you, and and you've done something so heinous that they want to make sure no one else gets it into their head that they want to do that again, instead of deleting you, they will basically flesh fuse you into the approximate
Worst
form
unit
of
in the game.
rush you. That's not his actions. Bullshitter. They'll basically
It's pretty
flesh
bad.
fuse- Assassins, talk to me after class. Anyway, they'll basically flesh fuse you with a giant ant species, and what they will do is they will alter your biological form, function, pathways, etc. You will basically be at the whim of your new handler, whatever pheromancer has to put up with you. They will leave, so they use inversive cerebral procedures to impair your cognitive function. Chemical and hormonal treatments are applied to make you lose all control of your biomantic and life-binding gifts. You will be forcibly fused with this lower organism.
Which is an ant. Just a humble drone. Just not even a queen, just a drone.
The ant's instinctive hierarchical physiology somehow makes it more susceptible to pheromantic command, forcing its body to respond to the orders given to it while allowing the compromised, broken psyche trapped within only enough control to pitifully scream in agony at its understanding of what it has become. And then they're just like, all right, you scamp, we don't want you here either. Get out and go and kill things for us.
Yeah, like one of the big things that really drew me to the game in the first place was specifically the abomination. Because I heard Stavros talking about it. He says, this thing does not come at you screaming and roaring and making scary sounds. It comes rolling across the battlefield, weeping and crying in pain and sobbing the entire time.
I'm so normal for that. I mean, what?
Whoa, look who it is.
Okay, Skillen, tell Brian about your book. Brian, defend Skillen about his book.
Yeah, we were talking about how, or I was talking about how the Spires bear a uncanny resemblance to the Incoroi. And how mimetic assassins are basically skin spies with serial numbers filed off.
Yeah, pretty much. Like the Incoroi from Baker's series. Like we've been wondering, Skillen and I have been wondering if Stavro has read that series because they seem like they're just ripped right out of there. It's actually uncanny.
Ripped straight from the headlines.
Yeah.
Okay.
Think like the Incoroi are like these fucking this alien weapon race that just like so some of the imagery of the Spires kind of corresponds to Baker's descriptions of them, and it's plenty of body horror and things of that nature.
Nice.
On that note, I found a fun excerpt describing the lamentations of the abomination on the battlefield.
Wonderful. Will you please
Humphrey had never seen a plate being slashed and pierced so easily in his life. In mere moments, it was standing on a spreading pool of crimson mingling with mud, dead bodies and torn plate around its feet. From deep within its body, a muffled whimper echoed, like a soft serenade or lament. In his shock, the man-at-arms wondered if it were for the death and gore it had caused, or for its own accursed soul.
A little bit of both, you know.
But also, like,
it's not having a good time.
No. And like I was doing a little bit more reading, and like it's really amusing to think about how they decided to settle on the ant. It says multiple organisms were proposed and tried, but the humble ant was ultimately preferred. While more gruesome examples, like I don't know, praying mantises, spiders, things like that, could be made, it was found that these abominations bonded to other species were too intractable or too self-destructive. So they specifically chose the ant because it wouldn't kill itself. Because it wouldn't...
Would it turn into spaghetti?
Wouldn't turn into spaghetti. It wouldn't, like...
Well, here's the thing, though. If ants have, like, the smell of death about them, like if there's, like, some kind of musk or pheromone, I don't know what exactly it is, but, like, it's been shown that, like, an ant that has, like, it's alive, but has that musk put on it artificially, it will, like, carry itself over to the dead pile and just lay in it. Just be like, I guess I'm dead now, you know? So, I don't know. I think there's a loophole here that could be, an enterprising abomination might be able to find its way out with.
So we defeat it.
Poor guy.
This also applies, I believe, to bees. And what happens is when bees' bodies start to decay, they emit I believe it is a pheromone, actually, that causes other bees to instinctively carry them over to the trash pile. And even if it's some researchers basically like applied this scent to a bee, and the other bees just continuously kept putting it in the trash pile until eventually it died.
I mean, I think Steve might know. I don't do a lot of that particular aspect of pest control or knowing that much about insects. But Steve would know, right?
So here's on a similar thought process. It is fun using like chemical signals to like trigger responses in insect species, especially Hymenoptera, so like ants, bees, things like that. One thing we were taught in our apiculture class for bees was don't fucking eat bananas when you're going to be working at the apiary, because a component of banana is isopentyl acetate, which is what bees use as kind of their alarm pheromone to know that they are supposed to be stinging the ever-loving shit out of things.
The banana pheromone makes bees kill you.
That rules.
What time to be alive. The pheromancer just shooting banana smells onto the enemy army. Get him, abomination, get him.
And so anyway, at that point, our professor just pulls out a banana and starts peeling it to eat it, and he's just like, "All right, we're going to put this to the test." And we're like, "Oh god."
Oh
Was he
god!
stung?
I want to paint a pheromancer like a banana, and then paint a bunch of Stricks like bees.
That would rule.
But they're not stinging him.
No,
Okay.
he's throwing the banana smell at somebody. That's the induced lethargy.
The banana smell.
Yes.
Also, Brian, if you have to go to bed, go to bed. Thank you for popping in here.
It's only 10 o'clock.
Well, he said he was going
Tell
to
us
bed.
some. While this is a lore episode, tell us some hidden PTR lore.
What the fuck? What?
I will do a Midwest goodbye by saying now that I probably can't make it to the end of this recording.
Okay. Thank you, Cassandra, for joining us.
I'm not leaving
Okay,
right now. I said it was a Midwest goodbye. I'll be
Okay.
leaving soon. But
Cassandra.
I've combined it with an Irish exit, so I'm not going to say when.
Someone's got to audibly through the mic slap their knees and go, "Well," and then that'll do the cue.
I wonder.
10 of us have to do that, and then 15 minutes later, we'll finally decide that we really should go to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was DMing you
but-
to defend defend Skillen, and you were like, "I'm about to go to bed," and I'm like, "Okay, hop in here and reply. Now go to bed."
Okay, we finally got through the first of many regiment profiles. Mass, pick one for read that would interest
I mean, like, we talked about clones pretty extensively.
I
This is
wanna
going to be
talk
another one of
about-
those 4-hour episodes.
No,
Oh, well, we just-
it's only an hour and a half. We got another half hour.
We just mentioned Strix. They're fun.
I either Stricks or Incarnate Sentinels. Who did the abomination? Was it Steve or Kang? I forgot because they were talking about shit.
Damn it, I love them both.
Wow,
I mean,
that was
Steve
even
talked
me that
about-
did the...
Well, they like I can talk a little bit about it, but I know that Steve has this passion for Spires that is odd.
Well, yeah,
I quite like
someone
them, but I
that-
don't find them.
he hangs out with Carl a
I
little
don't
too
find-
much.
Well, I
Carl
mean,
doesn't-
it was my
Carl
first
aesthetic-
army, because that
you
was
know,
back
Carl-
when it was the thing to play.
And Carl actually does not aesthetically like the Spires. He's confided in me.
He just
played
likes
them
shooting
for the-
things.
Interesting.
He just
likes
sees them
playing
as
them for the
cubes. Cubes of
So
stats.
to me, the Avatara look like you know those? Do you remember from the '80s those disgusting British puppets?
Yeah, that's what
With
they
ones
are.
the troll dolls.
No, it was a TV show, and it was like they did political like satire and stuff, but they were these disgusting fucking puppets. It was called like
Fuck, I know what this is.
Spitting Image or something.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, that's what Avatara looked like to me. Disgusting fucking puppets.
I mean,
they are,
you're not
though.
off. You're not that
Pretty
wrong.
much, yeah.
Okay, I guess I like Incarnate Sentinels. I'll do those first, just because they're fun. So leaning back into just how ruthlessly efficient and like resource and budget minded the directorate is. It turns out that much to their chagrin, growing purpose-made killing instruments from like start to finish and like having them go through a growth cycle is really not the best use of time or money or resources. So instead they realized we can very quickly spin up like individual organs, individual like muscle groups. We're just going to grow all these things individually. basically staple them onto like a skeletal frame of like bone, breathe a little bit of life into it, give it just enough of a brainstem to know how to swing real hard, and then just like send this wiggling nightmare amalgam onto the battlefield, hopefully far, far away from us, where it will just it lacks the part of the brain that says don't swing too hard or you're gonna like tear every ligament in your body. Just have it go to town on things.
I imagine that the Incarnate Sentinels like have ball joints wherever they would have like hinge joints, so they can just like twirl their hammers and the muscles just go with it.
It's a General Grievous thing where it's like spinning is a good idea.
Exactly. I bet you they just wade in and do that, like just swing their two
basically, because I love the lore blurb. Foregoing any attempt to create a viable organism that can meet their expectations, the director instead cultured individual organs to their specifications and assembled them over a reinforced skeleton. Sacrificing almost all attempts at elegance in return for pure function, the Incarnates are the most successful efforts of the directorate at overcoming the limits of the flesh.
I really like how they pose as well, like because you have that one that's like, "Hey, girl, what's up?"
Well, yeah, they all. That's why I'm saying wiggling, because it looks like they're doing like this little weird like sassy hand thing, or like they're trying to raise their hand, but their wrist is too weak, and they're like their hand just kind of like is too heavy and it just kind of like flops over and. They've got like the arms that are bending in weird directions, and they're like doing this weird like goose step, and one's doing like a little prance kind of. And I just imagine them just being like they don't know how to move because they're just a bunch of like constituent organs, and it's just like we don't care how they get to the enemy lines as long as they get there. So like however they want to figure it out, that's on them. Something roughly pantomiming animal motion, like whatever, we're good. Like. Again, you just have to get there and then swing as hard as you can before you die.
Yeah, they're like.
I imagine they move like the nurses from Silent Hill, if that makes sense.
I could see that, honestly.
Yeah, that's a very good comparison.
You know, I also believe like they try and like not have them destroyed because like purpose growing and everything and assembling these things. Like, are they just missiles that you launch at people and you just forget about them, or do you want to repurpose and return all that investment?
Wait. The Spires want a return investment of a thing they sent out and didn't expect it to die.
I mean, that's
the biomass.
You want to get the meat back.
This is a little more expensive. I mean, if you look at the original, like super cool Spires splash chart, where it's the guy on the throne. He is flanked behind him. Yeah, he is flanked in the back of the throne by two Incarnate Sentinels that are like draped in like flesh capes or something, or like lace wing capes or something. They're basically standing as his personal guard. Like, I don't think these are like as disposable as drones, but
yeah.
Is that the Alchemist one? The Alchemist artwork or whatever? Yeah. Okay, I have 100% seen that.
So, my understanding of the Incarnate Sentinels is it's kind of like. It's acceptable for them to take a certain amount of damage. They're kind of like they're basically like the equivalent of tanks in that, or just combat vehicles in that you can disable them or they can take damage to different areas, and it's like they can still like replace parts on them. However, doing that in the like on the battlefield, there's like a limit to it. It's actually reflected fairly well by the rules because they have 6 wounds, they have 6 wounds, which means that it's kind of a pain in the ass to actually like heal stance back. But I'm imagining between battles, they're like, oh, well, we brought spares.
Yeah, I could see that being like, and also that's what I mean. Like, you want to return the investment, you want to go get those parts that may have been removed.
Yeah,
because you could probably find that arm and reattach it later.
Yeah, I mean, they were assembled from parts. I mean, modular replacement.
The Incarnate Sentinels renamed as the Incarnate Car. Oh no, this one needs new wheels. Let's go fix that up.
So I don't want to rush things along too much, but I do want to. Because I feel that there's going to be a good opportunity for like Mass and Cast to like jump in and have a field day with the wording that Parabellum chose on this one.
Do it.
Stricks. Stricks are fun because basically the Spires are like, what if we made something designed to die because it just has a poison sac inside of it that will just gas things when it gets cut open, and then just give it wings to make it get there more easily. So
Jesus Christ.
And it's fun because if you read the Nepenthe and the Riskmark stories, you can actually read the alchemist like deploying these into battle, and the troops are like, "Oh, we're gonna get these motherfuckers," and they stab them, and all of a sudden it's like, "Oh god, our skin's melting! What the fuck did you assholes do?" And he's just like, "The test was successful."
Now imagine you're with his fingers like. He's like, good.
That's how I imagine it.
Talking about the Nepenthe story, like how the drones, like when they get stabbed, and then the pheromancy's like, "Get back up." This thing's like rigor mortis returns itself to a standing position. He's like, "Oh!" and then tries to stab the poor men at arms. Yeah, no. Fighting Spires would be terrifying. Sorry, I actually like disconnected for a minute there.
The Stricks?
The little Stricks blurb, because at the very last word is the one that's probably going to set our gracious hosts off. But with bones with bones lightened to the degree they can scarcely support the musculature that power the mighty pinions that bear them aloft, a Spire's Stricks would be incapable of posing a significant threat on the battlefield, were it not for the cruel disregard their masters have for their lives, and the lethal, toxic payload they carry in their bloated sacks.
What did you think I was gonna find funny about lethal payload?
Bloated sacks. There's nothing that can be. You guys aren't gonna like work that into a bit and just be like, oh, we're gonna
balls on these
we're
Stricks.
gonna latch. Yeah, they could have chosen a different word probably.
I gotta be honest. I imagined like as soon as you got into the description before you got to bloated sacks, which obviously I'll have time for in a second. But what I couldn't help is imagine, like, okay, I'm only saying this for context.
What does pendants mean?
Feathers.
Wings.
I know.
Oh, I thought it meant. Oh, sorry.
I think it does mean feathers technically, but yeah.
I got hit by the bit. So you know how they have that bird thing that you eat where you force feed a goose? Is that not a thing, or some kind of long necked bird? There's like
like the turducken. The Stricks.
No, like foie gras. It's foie gras. So it's like that, but the Biomancer is just farting into the fucking. Anyway,
this poor
until his sack is bloated.
Poor biomantic core is like strapped to this mechanism with its mouth wired open, and the pheromancer's just stuck a pipe in it. It's like, here you go.
No, what's even better is the alchemist just sitting there, like rubbing his hands. He's like, "Yeah, this is gonna be sick."
I want to Skillen.
Oh no, there's sacks on the Stricks, so it's slowly inflating it.
Skillen, I have Warhammer 40k grenades. We could glue the grenades onto each of your Stricks as their balls.
We probably just ran roughshod over like 4 or 5 different like varied and horrible fetishes all at the same time. This is a record.
I can tell you straight up, bloated sacks is just you're there.
You're there.
There's no model. You don't have to go any further with it. You've hit the fetish.
We've hit a dubious speedrun record with this.
Also, fuck Strix. I hate these fucking things. I love their lore, but fuck these things.
Oh, that's so annoying.
And it's all Carl's fault.
Weren't they gonna nerf them after Carl killed?
Don't say that. No, they got a buff. I think they got either an extra attack or they got like a higher point of clash or something. And it's like, why did they fucking do this?
No.
All my homeboys.
No, they got nerfed.
Oh, and then they got the score.
So what happened was they technically got nerfed by the overall like nerf to lethal demise. However, in Directorate you can you could heal them. You could heal them otherwise. It's under Spires where they have regen 4 inherently, but in the Directorate subfaction they get access to burnout. So +2 movement. So now they're speed 12. and that gives them +1 to their clash. So their clash 3, range 12, but they take decay 3.
Why?
So you fire them off as a missile.
Why the fuck are these things anything but Clash 1?
They need to slap those balls on some people.
Good question.
I fucking hate Stricks, and it's all Carl's fault. That's why I
On
took
average,
Slingers for the longest
Don't say
time.
that. Don't say that, or people are going to believe you, and they're going to go out for another witch hunt.
Oh no, I'm not saying why they are how they are is why.
Here's the thing.
I blame, I
The
blame
thing about the
Carl.
witch hunt is we need those clicks.
I blame Carl for my hate of them.
Yeah, he's always used them to great effect, and he's always like, "Well, you have to hurt them to. You can't just let me you can't not engage them." Like, yeah, I know, but it's kind of like you have to. It's like a saw trap. It's like you have to carve open your leg to get the key that's embedded in your femur to shut.
All right, Carl. This is why I brought 2 units of Slingers.
Yeah.
So what's so messed up about Strix is not even like their clash value. What's actually just messed up is that they're speed 10 flying, so like the range at which you can disrupt your opponent is just absurd.
Yeah.
Like you could just pin things down and just do whatever the fuck you want with the rest of your army. Granted, they can do some damage, but they're kind of like opportunistic chip damage rather than like what tends to kill.
Any damage they do on top of like holding something down and then getting punched in the face and exploding,
Gravy.
It's just gravy. And they're what, 120 points?
Yes, that may have changed recently with the most recent update, but
No, they do not deserve to change what they currently are. Still 120 restricted.
Yeah. So, all right, but that's like a deviation from we're doing the lore episode. I just wanted to say I fucking hate Strix.
Yeah, everyone does because you fucking whack them in the balls and they explode all over your face and you melt.
Shout out to that one. Shout out to that one player.
So just to make sure we're on the same page, you whack them in the balls a bunch of times and then they explode in your face. Is there anything I'm missing here?
Yeah, you
Sounds
melt.
like a girl I know.
The melting
That's
part
about right.
after the ball goo jism hits your face.
Wow, Mass just went there.
Shout out to that one Dweg player who lost 1,000 points to this.
To ball jizz?
was Carl playing against
You know what?
Yes!
Yes,
I empathize.
you had to fucking ask.
I like that.
I don't know, it could have been men.
It could have been men. I don't know. The men can't take the balls of the Strix.
No,
That's
it
real.
could have been Ben. Ben.
Oh.
No, it was
Ben is
Carl.
also
He
a man.
missed the-
Carl, I've noticed, is like the Wild Bill Hickok of Conquest in that nobody wants to get in a gunfight with him, but everybody wants to kill him.
Yeah.
Like to be the one to do it.
We need to put a bounty on his head. It's like a fighting game.
I mean, he can lose. It's just incredibly uncommon, and it's generally to like the same general pool of people. But like,
I think he's only publicly lost to Chuck, Brian, and Ben. And then
that sounds about right.
the other Ben. Then the
yeah.
other Ben at Worlds.
So he's got 2
I
bands.
want to let's go public with his privates. Who'd he lose to outside of the public eye?
I mean, outside of like that's just like prep games. Like those never count. The only ones that matter are the tournament games.
The people want to know.
You should lose all your practice games and you should win all your tournament games. That's the goal.
You should have a 100% win rate actually, front to back.
Jesus Christ!
They call it the full house.
Okay, Siegebreaker Behemoth, go. Kang
Ramp.
Or-
For me,
or Steve, I don't know. Whatever one feels more comfortable with the Biomancy.
I love
It ain't easy.
I love that it is based on the shrimp. I forget what it's called right now. The
Mantis shrimp.
The mantis shrimp. But also, like, that's not how air cavitation works in real space.
Well, good thing this is Spire space and they just do whatever the fuck they wanted.
But I just love it that it's a siege. It's made to break walls, but it also digs underground, so it could just dig under into
Wait,
the
but what?
city.
It digs?
Yeah.
I thought it breaks the siege. I thought it's like if you are sieged, you deploy this and it will smash out to make a channel out.
They taught it how to burrow.
Whether it's a hole or a donut, it's the same.
I choose you, Siegebreaker Behemoth. Use dig.
It can definitely be used to break a siege because I'm pretty sure it was made to fight Dwegholm. Like specifically made to fight Dwegholm.
That's funny for reasons that I can't quite elaborate on.
I'm sorry, chat. I thought I could make it to the wire. I have to leave. Good lore episode. Take it home, Matt.
Good night, Cassandra.
Bye, everybody.
Okay, now dig
Bye.
that home.
But like, it's also, what does this say? Its nervous system is a complex mix of simple systems that govern its movement and complex self-referencing pain and pleasure receptors attuned to only its hearing. And then its master is given like the Pavlov dog thing. So,
Wait, sorry,
but it's not a button.
Dog? What's
Pavlov's dog?
I don't know that reference.
Okay.
Pavlovian trigger. So basically, you condition a response. So the experiment was basically a dog had little sensors hooked up into it, and it was eventually trained that whenever they would ring a bell, its learned response would be that it was supposed to salivate when it heard the bell.
Oh, okay, that's kind of messed up, but please continue.
So this a similar process with this.
Yeah.
They just fed it, and every time they fed the dog, they would ring a bell. And then eventually they could ring the bell, and the dog would start to salivate, even though there was no food present.
It would associate the ringing of the bell with food.
Okay.
So this thing, you have a switch. It's not an on or off switch. It's a pain or pleasure switch. This thing only has two feelings. So when you want it to hurt something, you hit the pleasure or the pain sensor. So it goes to try and hurt something. Not hurting things is bad.
Really quick.
Then you switch to go ahead.
Is the pain sensor hooked up to its large sacs?
It doesn't have large sacs though. Have you seen this thing?
That's the Stricks.
I know, that's the joke.
Like, what does it say?
Let me see this again. It's got a big old tail.
Okay, here we go. Its sinuous serpentine body is almost nothing but muscle and armor, sacrificing everything for power, mobility, and durability.
Why are you trying to read this like you're trying to fuck me?
Are you into Spire's feet? We were supposed to not get into Spire's feet, and Kang is 100% into Spire's feet.
Look at that thing.
I would like to point out
we do not enjoy Spire's feet on this podcast.
But
so
also
one thing I would like to point out is that I love the fact that whoever designed this thing, whatever biomantical nightmare hell doctor did this, they were like, you know, it would be a funny trick. Let's give it a bunch of eyes that are buried within its sinuous muscle fibers, and then give it a bunch of arms whose sole function on this creature is to pull the muscle fibers apart so it can see.
I knew you were going to talk about the goatsy eyes.
Wait, what?
It's literally just spread them.
You have to. It's like the most striking feature.
It's on its chest.
Oh, that's what that is? I thought it just had random orbs.
No, those are all eyes. It has to peel the eyes back. It has to peel the muscles back so its eyes can see.
It's not on its chest. It's on its abs.
Okay, fair. Yeah, it starts immediately below the sternum in a line. And then they're just all goats. There's 1, 2, 3, 4.
That. Whenever I see someone who's posted a painted version of these, I'm like, show me the eyes. I want to see how good you did.
Well, I was going to say there's also the little eyes that I think a lot of people miss for some reason, or they just don't want to paint eyes. No harm, no foul there. But it also has eyes on like the very tips of the base of its claws.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, those are kind of weird to paint, honestly. Having 2 of these fucking things.
I still can't.
You'll be real good at painting eyes by the end of it.
I still can't get over the fact that it says very specifically it cavitates the very air. I'm like, oh, buddy.
I mean,
I'm sure the listeners that are versed in like physics and whatnot are going to all start shitting on me, but doesn't air technically follow like fluid dynamics, or am I just chatting?
Yeah, you can get cavitation. It's not to the same extent that water is, but like you get
It's
what
much
the hell is it called?
harder.
Yeah, you basically have to be traveling at supersonic speeds, and then you get
well, it punches
like
really
not
fucking
like
hard.
non-linear airflow, etc. But it doesn't cause the same kind of cavitate. Like it doesn't cause the same amount of collapse, like the same amount of force. Generally speaking, to create that amount of like, you basically need a bomb to do that. You need like a pressure vessel that can create enough of a pressure differential.
Yeah, water. It's much easier to do that. Just
Yeah, because you can't. It's really hard to create a space in the air without the presence of air.
Well, again, I would like to reiterate that this thing punches really fucking hard.
I know, it's just wild.
I mean, it's hard enough that it's just all smites, and then you get a pheromancer, and then you just fucking double clash with it, and then you get 20 smites, and then you watch something like a Rakshasa explode.
20 smites is a very generous estimate for its hitting capability. If you're not,
just give it deadly blades.
Just give it deadly blades on top of the 20 smites. Fuck you!
So
now you gotta roll the dice anyway.
Well, you are hitting on 4s though.
Oh,
okay. So
4.
like what you do is you burn out. You use the what do you call it? The pheromancer to give it the double clash instant activation thing, which I can't remember the name of it. Pheromantic compulsion, I think. And then you use burnout to get it to clash to give it +1. So now it's hitting on 4s. And you're getting to roll 20 dice that are all smites. You aren't getting 20 hits necessarily, but you're getting 20 attacks.
On 4?
And
hitting like, I don't know.
you explode Rakshasa Bakasura. Like, they'll do like the run at you.
Counterpoint. You have made a grave tactical error, and you have thrown this thing into my carries.
Oh no, everything is wrong. Like, fuck it. Don't bother.
The Stricks should be those carries.
Point is, Pavlov's mantis shrimp is very sexy, and you should play it, okay?
Does it act like a dog? Is it like, whoop, 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 and it's just like, oh, who's a good giant Siegebreaker behemoth? I am a good Siegebreaker. It's this massive thing.
Look, as long as it doesn't have a red rocket, because you're hitting that pain and pleasure center.
It's the tail. Someone's got to paint that tail red now, if we just know it after this. It's probably the feet Spires guy.
Shut it down.
For the listener, if you don't know about the feet Spires, there's some dude came in and got really obsessed with Spires feet and sexualizing the Spires, and it was like, please stop. This is not the place for it.
He took like a Figma of Arachne from Monster Musume or something.
Oh,
was
no.
like,
That was one of several, yes.
One of several?
He provided a lot of reference pics, because he was like, and if on the off chance you're listening, like,
go up, pop off, King.
Nothing like against you as a person, but it's just a little strange to like reveal your power level like that in a public space.
Keep your kinks at home.
You basically
hide your power level, bro. Please.
And going, all these nobles are famously debauched and like weird sex perverts. Why aren't they doing like freaky shit with their bodies? Like they should be having like
they fucking
sexy centaur. Like yeah, but like here's like this big titty like centaur or whatever her name is from like the Monster Musume thing. You're like, oh, here's Arachne from the same thing. Here's like, oh, here's some reference pics of like big titty monster girls. It's like, okay, like
if you want to do that, man, feel free. Just don't put nips on.
Green stuff exists, okay?
There's weird people out there.
Honestly, I would have been more interested in seeing them actually attempting that like actual conversion than I would.
I think that would have been cool.
Here's a bunch of big titty anime girls. It's like okay,
like with the Centaur Avatara. There's a lot of details you can add to the Avatara. Okay, specifically the centaurs. We've seen it in Warhammer Fantasy Battle. Just flip one of those horses upside down.
Oh.
If you haven't played War Machine, like most of the horses had dicks on them for some reason. They were modeled with dicks.
Yes, they were anatomically correct. Privateer Press really wanted to make sure that you knew that they knew What horses now?
Centaur Avatara do not, in fact, have dicks. I built I built a unit of them.
no, I'm saying you can add that if you really want to.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
I'm just I'm just adding for the record.
We don't need dicks to be eunuchs.
So, Skill, and this is you assuming that they'd be in the same location. They do have extra limbs. Like, who are we to say?
And also,
Like,
like,
dicks on the end of their hands.
I built the whole model. I painted it. I
Did you
posted
check
pictures.
under the armor?
I mean, there's a
Yep.
reason they have the.
Yep.
There's a reason they have all that stuff all over them. Like,
That fucking plow on their.
That's going to be a sound bite that Mass is going to isolate for future use.
I should start doing that just to fuck with people.
They have like a crotch plow, by the way. It's
Yeah,
like
the dick
three
is.
distinct
God, yeah.
pieces.
There's a reason they have that.
Okay,
It's
talk
to
about the
cover
Centaur
something.
Avatara.
Okay, these guys are good at thrusting. I'll say that.
They are, in fact, the thrust masters.
Oh god.
They got the long, pointy, bony lances coming out of one arm. They got the waist. What'd you call it? The waist plow.
Yeah,
They are horses, so
it's like the gnarliest codpiece ever known to anything.
it's got mouths and teeth on it. Like one of those-
It's a
What do I
groin
have?
lad, okay?
yeah. These things, they're super cool. They are Avatara, of course, so they are a mech suit. Let's get that straight too. These are a mech suit. So the highborn that's piloting it is sitting in his gamer chair 2 kilometers away, and he's just running around. He's playing Red Dead Redemption with a fucking shovel in one hand and a shield in the other. That's pretty much what it is with them.
They do, in fact, use the Thrustmaster HOTAS setup to pilot the Centaur Avatara.
I should actually read this and try and condense it and not be a fucking stupid idiot when I talk about them. The reason that Centaur Avatar are a thing is because they're like, I don't want to ride a horse. I don't want to have another creature that I want to bond with. This goes back to the life binding and how it's so anathematic to the exiles that became the Spires. They don't care about. Yeah,
They got jealous of human cavalry and the bond. they want the horse, but they don't want to have like the rider bond with the horse. Like, caring for another creature, that's beneath us.
exactly.
But what if I was the horse?
Exactly.
It's kind of interesting because of like in contrast to life binding, they're literally like they have life binding has almost become like anathema to them, and they're literally like, no, we'd rather just like genetically engineer something rather than have any kind of meaningful connection to anything that is not us.
Well, the thing is, like, when we were reading the Abomination lore, they still have it as part of themselves. They just don't use it because they find it banal or they find it dirty.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean.
Now I'm trying to remember from the Weaver blurbs here and there. Isn't life binding, if I'm not mistaken, a little more significant in that it's generally kind of more permanent-ish? It's kind of like a long-term commitment. It's not like
that too.
It's not like a body mod. Yeah. It's like, oh well, this is a thing now. I'm just a man horse now.
You just chimericize.
Yeah, they were talking about it in Weavers about how like it is a process to begin, and then you can do it more often to solidify that connection.
So, okay, when we get into Weavers, we got to talk about people fusing with other things for sure. Because that's going to be
once they're released.
Yeah.
Once they're released, we'll have a lot more lore.
Well, they had a blurb before, but they changed it. And I feel there was more lore in the blurb before.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, we also have the lore books from like 3 years ago that they can't go back and change. So
yeah, we literally have the names and the 4 courts and everything. So
yeah, okay.
Actually,
just real quick though,
we should just hit
like,
Weavers next.
Can we? I wanted to do Dwag next simply because I feel like that'd be the next logical step to get to Old Dominion.
Probably just go in release order, maybe. Just
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm kind of doing historically because like each of these guys fuck with each other.
Everything is so intertwined that that's just going to be a nightmare.
Well, the thing is, if we do it historically, it would be Spires, Dweghome, Old Dominion, Wadroon, Weavers, Nords.
No, because
did Weavers split before or after Dwag?
They
Before.
split.
I feel like it was
Before
before.
Dwag.
It was the Dragon War.
Yeah, they sold out the voice sold out Biomancy to the dragons. At which point they're like, "This sounds pretty sick. You're gonna teach us how to do this, Spires," and thus begot the crafters, I guess, more specifically.
I think like 'cause Nords and Nords is probably before Old Dominion when you really think about it because they were living in a different society.
They were probably around the same time. It's just that Nords was already going strong when the Old Dominion initiated the Northern Crusades. So
Fun little. I actually picked up that campaign box. It's a good little read of like the Firebringer and the Faith Bearer or whatever her name is.
I'm so sad that the Nords lady won. Like I think that OD winning would have been a much more interesting turn of events.
Oh, she canonically won.
Maybe. Yeah, she canonically.
Yeah, because all the Nords players shit posted hard enough and very rudely came into the OD channel to shit talk, and it's like, no, we're just in here having a little pity party. Like,
sounds about right.
Oh, and Matt, don't think I didn't see you going into Nords chats and saying, "Fuck them up, guys."
I won't lie.
I saw your treachery.
I won't lie. I voted for Nords because I didn't want OD to get nice things.
So it was. Okay. So it's not going to be nice things. The idea was if Reagan Leaf wins, which she did, she's probably going to try to go to Yggdrasil to try to make herself an Einherjar. She stumbles upon the Death Cult, and then either she gets roped in with them, or she's like, "Oh, this is an affront," But considering she wants to remake the Einherjar, they're probably going to promise her that. But whereas the other one, it's like it'll be reigniting probably like two of the most acrimonious foes in the setting, like the Old Dominion returning and being like, "Oh, you guys are still kicking, you're still doing stuff." Like, so my whole being used as a piece of kindling to destroy Yggdrasil was for nothing. I'm super fucking pissed about this. And then the Nords are like, "Oh god, it's our most hated enemy that basically sent us into like hundreds of years of like slave systems underneath the Giants' reign." And then you have Hell that's just like, "You motherfuckers did all of this to us. You're going to fucking pay." Like, it would have been
He wasn't put in the ground. Yeah, he didn't get put in the ground, did he?
He fucking died. Haslia basically got him to go to the core, channeled all the faith into him, and at that point he's kind of like,
No, I'm talking about in the campaign. I know what happened to Yggdrasil.
Oh yeah, no, he's still kicking around.
No, he just
he basically still the capacity for that.
Yeah, but realistically, like, he just got left behind, and then Reagan Leaf has the thing, and he's probably like, "Oh, well, I'm feeling pretty dumb right about now."
Do you own all the Crucible Will campaign stuff?
I'm missing the Nord versus OD one.
Oh, I have it. Do you want it?
I was gonna buy it.
Oh, okay.
Like I was gonna buy it for the minis because I have all the other minis so far. I just need to talk. I just need to talk with my shop and make sure he gets another one.
Okay, well let me know because then I'll send it to you or get it to you somehow.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But like I was a big fan of the Nord ending because it brings back Einar, and I really like Einar.
No, it's not going to bring back Einherjar because
no, Einar.
Einar. I mean, you could still get that. He's already getting involved with Hell. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't even think it's Hell. I think he's Loki's friend, and he's gonna.
Well, no, but I'm saying he's the one that like ventured over to Yggdrasil, so he's like right at the precipice of Hell, pretty much. Or he's gonna get involved with other stuff that we probably can't talk about yet.
I mean, yeah. I just want Loki to show up more, and if Einar's around, that means Loki's gonna show up more.
Okay. Well, it is getting a little bit late, but I do want to end this out strong. Is there any Anything that you guys think that we should touch on and talk about that we haven't yet?
Maybe
Spires made the Wadroon. I know that's obviously going to be of keen interest to Matt.
Yeah, that's that. I can talk. God knows how much.
Okay, maybe not. We'll save that for the Wadroon section.
No, you 100%
Exactly.
Like we
Yeah,
did an
exactly.
overview last episode, but like the Alchemist, the Fractured Concord, Faded Magenta, still an awesome name.
There's a whole bunch of really cool stories on the lore website and in the Living World archive that deal with Spires specifically because they are one of the first factions that have been around. You get character POVs, you get a lot of like arcing backstories and details. Like the Fractured Concord story shows the inner workings of like diplomacy between the lineage and the directorate in a specific spire. Like it's really cool.
It's a little detail, but one thing I love from that story, I think it was that story, but you see how basically, they're writing all these letters to each other, and they're like, oh, we have to use penmanship like fucking idiot humans. This is stupid. But really what they're doing is, in case the letter's intercepted by like other species, they have all stuff written in ink and whatnot. And then if you have the proper like permissions from the sovereign to have like special infrared hyper eyes, you can read special inks and like chemical scent markings and stuff that they've embedded into this letter to see the actual like decoded message and be like
all their communication is not just like physical, it's also on the spectrum of pheromones. It's a spectrum. They're like a sci-fi civilization living in a fantasy world.
And they are on the spectrum.
They broke the Prime Directive immediately.
And we got there.
Like
Gotta do a fight with the dragons.
they're a sci-fi civilization done right in a fantasy world, and I love that so much because from their point of view, everyone else is just a bunch of barbarians and a bunch of
No, it's a bunch of fucking like farm animals just like milling around and like beating each other with sticks, and they're like, "The fuck is this?" Like, fucking groundhogs are going to war with the chipmunks. Like, the fuck is this shit?
Shout out when they decided to just turn farm animals into humans and give them to somebody.
That was a fun prank.
What? They turned the farm animals into not the humans into farm animals, but the farm animals into humans.
Kind of. They basically
bread.
They basically took animal and like humanoid characteristics, blended them together into like beast men, and then we're like, "Here, Dominion, a fun gift for you as a sign of peace." With the little the little unwritten fine print that the humans didn't know about was they were also embedded with epigenetic kill switches. And the plan at the time was make the humans indolent and lazy by depending on this second tier caste slave labor, and then when they become so ineffectual that everything has to be done through these creatures and their economy is dependent on these creatures performing these acts for them, they can then kill them off and then collapse the humans' economy and disrupt all their kingdoms, and they'll be at the whims of the Spires. And then the humans tried to kill their own god, and then that went all out the window.
Is this how we got the bread?
Yeah, it's exactly how we got the bread.
Holy fuck, Spires fucking around again! I thought the bread was just a thing that was around, and they're like...
No, Matt, have you forgotten that point where, like, the several points where Matt and I have both continually gone on about how everything is the Spire's fault? We were not kidding. The Dwegum were their creation.
Okay, what about the centaurs?
Those are bred.
Yep.
Okay, so the satyrs, Spires bullshit. The bread, Spires bullshit. The centaurs, Spires bullshit. What about the Gorgon?
Yeah. Not quite. Persephone is okay.
She was like a holy blessing, wasn't she?
Didn't work out too well, did it? She got snakes for hair.
But in an abstract way of thinking, if you think about it, because the Spires created the Dwegum, and the Dwegum created the little, they took the Shard of Conquest that they'd meme into Hasley later. No, fuck you, it was Conquest.
Oh,
do not fucking fight me on OD lore.
You can't wait for that Conquest. Episode.
Yeah. We all know
Haslia
Haslia was a chart of conquest. That's
so
very well
basically,
stated.
because they created the Dwegum, and therefore the Dwegum had the little piece of creation coal that would become Haslia when the humans found it. Indirectly, the Spires are responsible for the creation of Haslia and the rise of the human kingdoms and everything, and therefore, because the city-states derived so much off of an attempt to take Old Dominion's knowledge and cultural and religious base, but kind of reconfigure them to not allow another Haslia to be created, the god that Persephone worshipped that turned her into a Gorgon could also be, through a very tenuous branching system, be blamed on the Spires.
I need to go back and reread how she got how she is.
I could tell that if you want, but
I don't have the book in my hand right now. But if you have it, like right there.
I mean, I don't have it, but I basically she was very gifted in terms of strategy and combat, and she was in a kind of a contest in the gladiatorial arenas against a very underhanded opponent, and he poisoned his blade. So every time he would slash at her, she'd get weaker as the poison took more and more toll on her body.
That's right.
So I think she invoked her, god of war or whatever. I don't know if it was
Toria. It was Toria because
Kratos. She worships Kratos.
That's why she hates him so much and hates bulls and minotaurs and shit. But so she basically invoked his name, saying like, "Give me the power to strike this motherfucker dead." He did, and basically, the poison kind of became a symbol of a snake or whatnot, and basically she was kind of transmogrified into like a Gorgon, and through this newfound power, she was able to slay him. But considering that she turned into a Gorgon, that made her not terribly popular at dinner parties and such. So her political and noble life kind of collapsed a bit.
Yeah.
So she just kind of had to like redouble down on the whole battlefield general aspect, and she's not too happy about that.
That's why she's an Aristarch.
Yep.
But also like I kind of wish they had like more Gorgon stuff. I think that's really interesting, like an aspect for city states to explore.
I mean, we were gonna get Nagas for hell, but I guess they're kind of scared that Games Workshop's gonna chase them with a big stick or something about
they
that.
Can just fucking do Draconians. Just do Draconians.
Well, I was gonna say just fucking make Nagas and just be like, fucking come at me.
Just do some weird dragon Naga shit instead of doing hot ladies.
It was weird dragon shit, and they're like, I don't know, and it's like, no, fucking tell them to just tell them to suck it. Like, what are they gonna do? And then they take you to court, and the court's just like, fuck, man. Like, all you have to do is be like, here's some ancient like Hindu like art, like with a bunch of Nagas carved into the temple, and it's like, oh well, shit. What's your guys' case again? Like, fuck, get out of my court.
Yeah,
leave them alone. I don't know. I'm obviously not a lawyer.
No, me neither. But
telling the other person in court to eat shit's maybe not the best course of action. Who knows?
Oh man.
Okay, I have some questions. What are some Spires debauchery like short stories that are out there that Spires have done that are weird and funny and have caused problems for the world and everyone else? And then we'll end it there.
Debauchery. I think like just in general, whenever a Spires researcher just wants to do something, just doesn't matter what it is. Like the bread is a really good example because it was like this whole web of intrigue and this whole like planned thing over centuries, and it just didn't fucking do anything because the Old Dominion collapsed on itself.
They were very surprised by this outcome.
They were.
Do you think they were the Spire? They were like, God damn it, they fucking killed themselves. We didn't have to do any of that.
It was probably more like, wait, what the fuck? What's happened? Oh, what? And then you see Haslia just like power bombing his celestial sky palace. It's like, oh fuck, you guys aren't gonna believe what the humans went and got up to.
Just like imagine all the weird little like experiments that get done to find out minuscule things that have huge ramifications. Like, I don't know. I remember listening to something about shrimp treadmills recently.
The fuck?
Well, I mean, there's a lot more. There's huge context around it, but it was also used as some sort of weird political culture war bullshit at the same time. But like, imagine that, but on the scale of Spires. Like, oh, let's take this animal and let's see how well it runs on a treadmill, and then you times that by 1,000.
It's kind of like the rat drowning experiment, where if a rat is just put into water, it'll fight for maybe 5 to 10 minutes before it just gives up and is like, I guess I'm just gonna die. If you rescue it, it will continue to paddle the next time it's drowning for like 6 hours, thinking maybe this time someone will. Last time I was drowning, I got saved miraculously. Maybe now I can hold out hope for another miraculous rescue. And it's basically that, but there's like, they don't save the rat that time.
Yeah. Oh. But also, like, it's also the rat utopia experiment. But I imagine one of the spires somewhere has within its walls a utopia for, like, I don't know,
shrimp,
humans,
mantis shrimp, just mantis shrimp.
Maybe
it has to be something capable of like higher cognition and like love and ambition and fears and like the ability to hope and like have pattern recognition so that they can just break them at some point.
So that puts it to a very small margin of things they consider sentient, and I think humans are not one of them.
No, they have a clone utopia as an experiment.
Wait, what? Really? Just a utopia for clones so they don't
No,
cheat
but
themselves?
he's just speculating. He's imagining it, yeah.
I'm imagining it because, like, if you know anything about the rat utopia experiment, it was like actually really depressing.
Well, it was like they put a rat in a cage and they checked if it would take the water, or like, I forget what drug it was. Was it heroin or like?
Oh no, this is
no. This is the worst one.
So there's another one that was worse. Great.
So basically, this one was basically, what if rats had nothing else to want in life? The reason it's a utopia is because they had never-ending supplies of food, water. I think they had some form of engagement with like little toys and wheels and shit. The only catch was that they were severely overcrowded. And
okay,
well, no,
but things were kept. They were.
It was a utopia.
I thought it was the population sink.
No, there was enough. There was enough space. There was enough food. There was enough shelter. Everything was utopic. But what ended up happening is there was this stratification, and in some cases, rats would all pack into one habitation and become overcrowded. They would live like that.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought this was the forcible overcrowding with the population experiment.
No. And then there would be other. It was like stratified because it was this whole big experiment box. It was like a city for rats. A mini city for rats, and they have different levels and everything where they can look in and see the rats. So you would have the rats that all packed in together and like lived in squalor intentionally together.
What? Okay.
You had the rogue rats that would live by themselves, and they would like fight for food every once in a while, even if they never had to go looking. And then at the very tippy top, you would have the rats that would spend all day grooming themselves. They were called the pretty rats, or things like that. They were like the high society rats.
They literally recreated the Spire! What the fuck?
I'm not even joking.
What the fuck?
It is a Spire. So imagine that, but of clones. So you have a Spire with a Spire inside of it.
They choose to
they
go
call them
into
the beautiful ones.
There you go. Skillen probably found it.
And what's interesting is that they basically were effectively like asexual, like they didn't do any breeding or anything, but they would just groom themselves and each other all day long.
I thought there were a few different stratifications at that point from the behavioral sync, where some of them were like hypersexual, some of them basically just like completely went incel.
Yeah, I'm talking specifically about the beautiful ones.
Okay, yeah, the beautiful ones.
The beautiful ones basically had no sex drive, but they would just groom all day.
This is built for Cass. she would be a beautiful one.
So, like, if you want to get in the mindset of a Spires nobleman or something, just go read this study about rats, and just put yourself in that position. Which kind of rat would I be?
Probably be the fucking fighty rat running around.
No.
Steve, what rat would you be?
Honestly, I probably would be the one that's just like, fuck it, life has no meaning, and then just sit there and just like play video games all day.
Okay, so Steve is a pretty rat.
John B. Calhoun. Yeah.
Spires is weird.
Yeah, they're alien weirdo scientist perverts. Like, I'm glad you finally caught up with the main takeaway from the entire rest of the episode.
Are we gonna call it there, and we'll do a dwag next time?
Yeah, that's probably good. Mouse experiment is a good place to call it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us in this wonderful Spire chat. Thank you to Lore Uncle Steve and Lore Daddy Kang. I believe I had a great time. Well, I do had a great time. I hope everyone else had a great time. Cassandra has her BonkTable Twitter. She has her personal Twitter. Go check out both. The personal one gets weird, so if you want more weird Spires nonsense, Cassandra's personal Twitter is the way to go. Like and subscribe. Join the BonkTable Discord. Yeah, I don't know. Anyone else got anything to plug?
Join the BonkTable Discord. You can talk to all of us weirdos occasionally.
No, I won't talk to you. I'll just insult your intelligence and be like, "No, fuck you."
So I don't know if this decision is wise, and this may bite me on the ass. But in August, this is great radio.
It's like the 25th or something.
I thought you cut out there for a moment. I'm like, did he just cut out? What? He's thinking.
No, I'm trying to. Oh my god, why is this taking so long? This is horrible. The editing will save me.
No, it
won't. Cool. August 16th and 17th. My local game store is having a big fucking Conquest event. It'll probably be one of the first huge events of the new upcoming season 5 for Worlds. There will be a painting requirement, but that is mainly because we do intend for this to be fucking huge. We're going balls out with prize support. We have, painting categories for, awards and stuff. We have some cool stuff that I can't talk about openly yet, but once I get to go ahead, I will definitely drop that update and get people mad hyped about that. But yeah, basically it's 2 days of just, pushing models into each other and making dinosaur noises and airplane noises and, just having a great time. I think we're already getting talks saying that, we've got a bunch of people from all throughout Michigan coming. We've got a bunch of people coming from Ohio, Indiana, potentially, Illinois, Iowa. Maybe some of the Canadians are going to come. I think Mass has expressed some interest potentially.
I just gotta check my work
schedule. Just going to be a big fucking shindig. So hope to see you there.
No, sounds great. Do you want to send me a link and I'll add it to the show notes for people who want to just pop in and click on it?
Sure, and I guess I can also link the we have a little kind of like player packet, painting packet. I would like to stress painting is required. So there is a grand prize, but that's more of kind of like a Renaissance person kind of prize where it does not affect your standing in the actual tournament, but the grand prize will be taking into account your performance in the tournament, your kind of how your opponents rated you as a player, and then also kind of like your overall like painting and army presentation kind of things. That's kind of a separate category for the grand prize. It's not going to affect your tournament rankings, worlds points, anything like that. That will be completely dependent on how you actually do in game. So don't worry about that. We've had a few people express some excitement over that, but hopefully that has been smoothed out. But the player packet that I will send Mass will kind of go over all the guidelines and expectations and how everything's kind of stratified. But hopefully it's not going to intimidate anyone. It's going to be a good time. And if you have any questions, just DM me on Discord or something.
And to ride on the coattails of that, it's like, just come up and play in Michigan. I host a monthly tournament of some sort at Far Harbor Gaming in Grand Rapids. If you're in the area or just want to come and hang out, it'd be great.
Yeah.
Michigan's a hotbed for whatever reason.
Just got a lot of
It just
strong players. And they're pretty good at the game.
Try to be. I don't understand the rules at all anymore. Don't ask me.
That's why we need the Chuck and Rollo episode, just to try and watch them figure out the rules live.
Make sure they understand the intent.
Oh man, no. Nothing's working. All right. Thank you for joining us, everybody. I hope everyone has a great day. Bye.